welcome. It's here. We've made it. The final week of season 5 of VML, brought to you in association with the NRG series and sponsored by Wizard of the Coast. 10-week long Arena League. We are in week 10 right now, showcasing the very top of the talents of the amazing people that have been a part of the VML this season of marginalized genders within the Magic community. They started with 64. We are down to 8. We divided those players into 8 different classes. Everybody played through, fought through a top 24, a top 16, and we are here now. Going to do some standard battling. This is fantastic. And tonight I am joined by the fabulous Ellie the Veil. Hello, Ellie. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. I'm ready to cover some matches. You and I, chat may not know this, but you and I are pretty much going in kind of blind here. We know top 8 deck lists, but we don't know exactly how the tournament progresses. So we'll be following on. We know the first match we're going to watch, but after that, we're going in a little bit blind and gonna eventually see to a live final. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Yes, definitely a lot of it blind. Now, for those of you who have not been here before, the VML here, the Venus Mercury League, we are based on weekly play. Weekly play happens in a round robin for the first 7 weeks and then cuts to playoffs. All the matches you see are pre-recorded normally. Tonight, we are going to have a live finals here. And the winner of that finals, I need to remind you, we have a prize pool of $3,500. They're going to take home 25% of that to the winner. Mm-hmm. They take a year subscription of Channel Fireball Pro. They get, thanks to Wizards, for the invite to the next Premier Magic Circuit event. How's that sound? That sounds pretty good to me. And we've got something else later on maybe that we'd like to talk about, but we won't get into that quite yet. A little bit of surprise. You're going to have to stay and watch. So, but there is a lot on the line. Like I said, $3,500 prize pool. Big ups to Wizards for making that possible. Big shout out to Channel Fireball and NRG Series, all being fantastic supporters of our league. So we love you all. But I am so ready to kind of get this train rolling here.
I know it's been 10 weeks. On one hand, I'm like, yes, let's jump in and dive in. And on the other hand, I'm like, but am I ready?
You got to get ready. I'm there. I'm pumped.
I am also pumped. We got sick players. We got sick matches. We got stuff on the line.
There are some pretty sweet decks that were registered this week for top 8. I'm not going to lie. I'm kind of loving them. And one of the other extra special things that we have are interviews from each of our top 8 competitors.
Yes, we did get somebody extremely attractive, by the way, and smart and interesting to have great interviews with our other great, smart, and interesting players. So I can't wait for y'all to see that.
I can't wait to see who that might be.
Right. No, we're really rolling out the big budget for this. Yeah.
Love it. I love it. So let's take a look here at our top 8 bracket. At the very top, our number 1 seed, undefeated through the season, is Doriable. Doriable has been absolutely just dominant. They have showed up most weeks. They registered a different deck every week, with the exception of they did back-to-back Soul Titan leagues, so 4 and 5. They're coming with Gruul, and they came mono white aggro, and then it was Rogues, and then it was, and the thing is, you can do that, but they just kept winning. So that's a mark of a really good Magic player. And,
they were in the same, we were in the same class, and they went undefeated every single week, which is something to be said when you're coming up against opponents who are switching decks every week, or you're kind of having to make these very corner case meta calls for yourself to try and pick your best matchup and just give yourself the best advantage that you can. And for Doriable, it just really worked, and it's definitely not just about the meta calls that you make, it's the play. So I'm sure we're definitely gonna, there's something to be said for their individual skill.
I'm excited to see the fight that Honk will put up. Honk was our 8th seed, so made it through, had to buy through round the 24, buy into the round of 16, had a fight there, defeating Jolie Paul, Rebecca Black, to move on to the top 8 here. Then our next matchup tonight, the one that we'll actually be watching is Zabricus versus Rose, which is, both big names here at the VML. Zabricus has participated in the season, very well known in the community, and first time in the VML playoffs though. So this is the big time. She's done very well so far, fighting her way through from a wild card slot, winning in top 24, then again in top 16, now made top 8. And Rose on the other side, one of our most innovative players that we have had the pleasure of covering, which we do very often each season because Rose always brings the most creative and original decks that any of us have the pleasure of seeing. So can't wait to check out that one that we will be watching in just a bit. Next up, we have Shadow Cloak, our 2nd seed, who actually also went undefeated throughout the season, but threw us a curveball, went undefeated throughout the season, 7-0 on the 7 rounds, then changed their deck for the round of 16, and then has to the Jeskai Mutate deck that we got to see last week when they took down Bronca. Mm-hmm. And now this week they've changed again to a Mardu mid-range deck. So kind of keeping the changes coming. Up against Pipe Dream is Piper Powell. Again, another mainstay on the VML, really strong Magic player. Also very well known in the community, has a lot of great accolades. Just that's going to be a heck of a match. I don't know who's going to take down that match there. It's tough. Piper's on Prism Is It Dragons. So
yes. Right. Piper is on Is It Dragons. Piper is an extremely strong player, has plenty of accolades. If you don't know Piper, you should. Won the most recently won a Popper Challenge on Moto. Is a very accomplished Moto player as well. A sleeper. A sleeper in terms of I think a lot of people sleep on Piper in the competitive community, and they really, really should not. Yes. So 2 talented, skilled players. Piper is the one who knocked me out in top 16. And one of the things that, while it stung, the loss stung. I mean, even though I made the right call in terms of the deck choice, one of the things that really struck me was just how well Piper can navigate a game even when at a disadvantage. So definitely someone to keep your eye out on.
Yes, and speaking of getting knocked out, if we look a little bit further, the next matchup, we have Hire You and Becky Bear down there. If you don't recognize those names, you should, because those are 2 of our VML casters here. And Becky Bear, if you take a look at the top 16, absolutely stomped me out in the top 16, took me out, my normal casting partner. So I just had to find a new one. But I am glad that it is you and me here tonight, Ellie, because Becky and I are fighting. So no, I am actually very happy for Becky. Like you said, it's just she played very well and is again, well-known quantity, well-known Magic player in the community, great commentator. Same goes for Hayu. So that's going to be quite a battle between those 2.
Yeah.
All right. So do you want to get into our first interview here?
I think we should. I really do.
All right. Our first interview is going to be with Rose. And the lovely interviewer, I'll spoil it, is the lovely, talented, articulate. Yes, Ellie had the pleasure of interviewing our top 8 competitors. So let's check out the interview with Ellie and Rose.
Welcome to the VML Top 8 Interviews. I'm Ellie, and I'm joined by the wonderful Rose tonight. Rose, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, as you just heard, my name is... I chose... Oh god, which one did I choose? I think I chose Prismari. I'm connected to so many, so this isn't hard, because I like Prismari, I like Witherbloom, and I like Silver Quill for all different reasons. I think Prismari is the one I went with, because it is a little bit close to my heart.
Good.
The deck I am playing for the top 8 is one of my own creation, which is my Titan's Nest list featuring Magma Opus.
Oh, sweet, sweet, sweet. Expect to see lots of operas from you. What is a lesson that you've learned this season?
One of the lessons I learned is definitely needing to balance my wanting to be competitive and playing higher end top decks with not burning myself out and playing decks that I consider personally fun.
Hmm. I think that's a
Something
great lesson. That is a great lesson. So lastly, what does the VML mean to you?
The VML for me is an opportunity to really express that competitive side without needing to do all of the work into getting into the entry of, the satellites and doing tons of those just to get a chance at a bigger one and all of that, which makes it easier to be competitive for without all the work.
Well, I think that's great. Thank you so much for joining us, and good luck in the top 8.
Have a great day.
Good night.
Whoa. So it's awesome having a phenomenal accomplished player like Rose in a tournament like this. And I cannot wait to check out this first match. This will be the only quarterfinals match that we are covering for the night, but it is going to be Zabricus versus Rose. So let's take a look at these player slides here. First, we're going to look at Zabricus, who has brought mono white aggro to battle here in the top 8. So, what do you think about? I guess we know that Rose is also bringing a Titan's Nest deck. So, what do you think about this matchup? How mono white aggro is going to size up against Titan's Nest?
So first of all, I would just like to say I really do appreciate the aggressive pick, because as we know, Sultai Ultimatum struggles against aggro. In some ways, is dragons can struggle against aggro as well. So I think it's smart for somebody to kind of to pick an aggro deck against the Sultai Ultimatums deck. This card has, particularly Rose's deck list. This deck has some advantages here. First of all, it has disruption, which is really key for Sultai Ultimatum. If you can get down your elite spellbinder and snatch their wraths or snatch their the spells that matter, not necessarily the Titan's Nest, but definitely that one is definitely a pick. You can really stall them enough where they don't have the ways to deal with you. Another key thing to consider is that Titan's Nest plays Heartless Act, which if you're a deck that has Luminarch Aspirant, you're like, perfect. I love to see it because my creatures are going to have counters on them. And what? And so I think Luminarch's Aspirant is really going to matter in this. Raydan is really going to matter, making those more expensive spells that the deck relies on less relevant. Stalling. Obviously, Skyclave Apparition can take out the Titan's Nest. Spellbinder, also great hand disruption. So honestly, I think this is a very good deck choice for Zabricus. Obviously, she didn't know what she would be going up against, but picking an aggressive deck that has disruption is really important here. It's really going to matter. And also, by the way, Faceless Haven, I love a deck that plays Faceless Haven. Yes, absolutely.
Faceless Haven also very good in the face of sweepers like the Extinction Events and the Shadows Verdict that we see in Rose's side. So I agree with you here. It's definitely a tough and uphill battle, I feel like, for our Titan's Nest player in Rose. We can take a look at her deck here and see. It's definitely also a very different Titan's Nest deck than you're used to seeing. This was one of Rose's own creation that she played for quite some time this season, and as you could see in the slide, was by far her favorite deck that she was able to play. So, pretty great when a player can kind of like cultivate their own deck and bring it and feel proud of it, do well with it. And now here she is in the top 8.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think honestly, one of the things that's really going to matter is Rose's comfort level and knowing how to play. Because you really don't pick up a Titan's Nest deck and not be prepared to have some game plan against very aggressive decks that try and like disrupt what you're doing. So experience, I think, is going to matter a lot. So I don't think Rose is necessarily out of this match whatsoever. Has some tools here. Prismari Command can, shock a thing before Luminarch Aspirant gets on the battlefield. So it can do some damage. Obviously, Heartless Act can do things. Cards like Disdainful Stroke, her negates might matter against cards like Maul of the Skyclaves. But I think the key will be being able to access the sideboard for the rest of the removal and Shadow's Verdict and Extinction Event. These cards, I'm almost positive Rose is going to want to bring in.
No, I like it. There is a good amount of removal. It's a question of will she be able to use it? Let's head into the match. All right. We have Zabricus on mono white aggro, and at the top you'll see Rose on 4-color Titan's Nest. A selfless savior right out the gate from Zabricus here, and a pass back of the turn.
Yeah, this is a great hand from Zabricus. Zabricus has the 1-drop, has a Luminarch Aspirant for the 2-drop. Rose has no way to interact with it as of right now. There is and immediately Zabricus is presenting a real problem here.
Yeah.
It looks like to me, Rose is going to take 2 here. It looks like to me potentially, maybe Rose just wants to get out the. Rose is gonna want to have to like find some way to deal with what's happening on the board and accelerate to a Titan's Nest and spells that matter.
Yes, because Zabricus is already cementing her position on the battlefield. A 3/4 flyer is nothing to sneeze at, especially when it makes Rose's spells costs just that much more. So this is strategic planning on Rose's side. No 4th land at the moment, and a couple of tap lands even to start off this match. But there we go. An untapped land is the draw off that strategic planning after discarding. And
yeah, you really can't underrate how powerful it is to be able to stall your opponent. Yes. Like when you're playing an aggressive deck, maybe you can't stop exactly what it is they're doing, but if you can just stall until you can get that damage in, and Rose is presenting 7 damage right now, or sorry, Zabricus is presenting 7 damage, bringing Rose down to 8. This is what you want to do. This is kind of the best you can hope for.
Yes, and definitely scary because Zabricus now has lethal on the battlefield for next turn if nothing changes. So
yeah, and we see here that like Rose had to let that Maul resolve. Even though it's definitely not ideal, Rose kind of need the mana.
Yes, we see very rarely do I see the Valk Mira protector shield, the backside of Raiden be played here to help protect the threats that Zabricus has played. And we'll see what Aishi Rose thinks they can do to stay in this game. Shark Typhoon cycling might help and buy a turn.
Yeah, Rose can stall just a little bit. Like, Rose can use the Prismari command to take out one of the creatures, forcing Zabricus to use the Selfless Saver, or, just take out the Selfless Saver or whatever. Can do what Rose is doing now, which is using a Shark Typhoon to block. That can stall, but definitely has to be able to answer what's going on. Oh, yeah. It's fine.
Yes, we'll see Shepherd of the Flock, the Usher to safety, come down to protect that Luminarch Aspirant, and the Luminarch Aspirant will be put right back onto the battlefield there. Shepherd of the Flock on an adventure at the moment. Couple of lands, the last 2 draws for Rose off the Shark cycling and the draw step, and Rose said, that's enough. Let's head on to game too. So we'll check out some of the goodies that Rose and Zabricus have in their sideboard here. Looking at a Shadow Spear, a couple Dranith Magistrate, Glass Caskets, a couple of Banishing Lights maybe. Those are kind of appealing to me. What do you think, Ellie?
Honestly, I would just like slide in the, excuse me, my southern accent is coming out. Let me get that together. I would probably slide in the Dranith Magistrates. It's great against Alrund's Epiphany and other stuff you might want to foretell. I think that the Banishing Light, it's an understandable pick. I would not really commit to that. I don't think you want to play a slower game. I think you just want to kind of repeat your game too, which is provide pressure and disrupt them, install their game plan long enough for you to just get in that lethal damage. So Dranith Magistrate's a good option for that. But Banishing Light works as well if you're really concerned about permanents that they put, which the only one you should really be concerned about is Titan's Nest and, Shark Typhoon if they happen to land one.
Yes. And it looks like it is going to be just what you said. Bringing in those removal spells on Rose's side, Eliminate, Baleful Mastery, the extra Extinction Event, the Shadow's Verdicts, all coming in here. A little less interested in counter spells like Negate. So
yeah, that's really not what you. Ooh, this hand. Hello. Hello.
I think we found a Luminarch Aspirant fan.
Yes. I mean, I do think, people talk about the power level of white, but Luminarch Aspirant, it's here. It's here to break them barriers. Also, Luminarch Aspirant, if you want a little piece of Magic history, was previewed by yours truly.
Was it?
That's true. That's very true.
I mean, I can understand even more why you like it, but like that actually, I love that. That's fantastic. It's a really good card. So
it is a really good card. I will say that something important to point out is that the first couple turns are pretty crucial, and Zabricus has not provided a ton of pressure. So because they're at the third turn going into Rose's fourth, need to consider the possible the possible wraths in hand. I do think it's great that they had the Raydan, because now Rose has to wait just a little bit longer before they can deploy those wraths. But that is something that Rose or Zabricus has to be mindful when committing to the board.
Yes, and we'll see a Luminarch Aspirant coming down here to pump something up, or so Zabricus hopes. Ichiro's been able to kind of filter through the deck a little bit here, but hasn't hit anything too exciting yet. Does have a couple of sweepers in the hand. You'll see that Faceless Haven on the battlefield, though, pretty resilient against those.
Yeah, I mean, those sweepers definitely kind of look good. I like this play going for the Prismari command on the Seasoned Hollowblade because this ramps Rose with a treasure token, provided that is what they picked, which they are
looting, and they drew a Thirst for Meaning and a land. So
yes. So going back to my first statement, it is important because Raydan is on the battlefield. Those wraths are more expensive now, and I believe they do have the second black though, so that's good. They can just cast Shadow's Verdict.
Yes, but Rose is at a very low 14 life here. Maul of the Skyclaves is going to come down onto that Seasoned Hollowblade. So this is 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This is 10 damage.
It's a lot, yeah.
Unless Rose can do something here.
And even if Rose untaps on, their turn, on her turn, and cast can only cast Extinction Event on her turn. And even then, we see that that's not going to deal with both creatures, because Hollowblade's even, Luminarch Aspirant's even, but Raydan is not. So it doesn't deal with all the creatures cleanly.
Yes, we'll see a Heartless Act being drawn off that Thirst for Meaning after discarding 2 lands. So yeah, it looks like Zabricus will tap down that Seasoned Hollowblade. Still be able to get in for 4 here, bringing Rose down to 10. But like you said, there are a couple sweepers waiting in the wings, and that Raydan tax is okay when you have a bunch of mana. So
Right. Yeah, I would have just imagined here Shepherd of the Flock. I don't know. I guess you could just Shepherd of the Flock, the Luminarch aspirant. It depends on, you have to guess what, you do have to guess what Rose is going to return.
yes, it's hard to say. 2 evens and an odd.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess I'm gonna let it ride.
Yeah. I mean, that's fine. You still have a 3/4 that can get bigger with Maul of the Skyclaves. You have a Luminarch aspirant in hand. Why waste this? Why try and guess with the spell?
Yes. So we'll see what Zabricus decides to do with her mana here. It looks like Faceless Haven may be the play.
Has a lot of options. I mean, it's pretty flexible here. I like the Faceless Haven, especially because it gets around Shadow's Verdict. It still provides lethal in the face of Shadow's Verdict. And it leaves, a Shepherd of the Flock up.
Definitely a good play. Yeah. And that is enough. As Zabricus will take that one down in a very convincing fashion, 2 games to none, and we'll move on to the top 4. So good games to both sides. A great season from Rose as always, but GG's to Zabricus, who is moving on to the semis. So that was pretty wild.
Yeah, I mean, that played out like very the big thing about Titan's Nest is that it does struggle against pressure. And if you can provide pressure and disruption, it tends to fold. It's an extremely powerful strategy, not to discount the strategy at all. It's particularly great against slower grinder decks. But if you got that name, you coming in like Zabricus came in with names written down. Like I'm ready to crush this and this and this.
Just cross.
I'm gonna eat your Christmas list. That's what I'm going to do. So Zabricus ate that, as we say.
It's like Christmas for Zabricus. That's all.
Yeah. Like so Christmas. It happens. Rose is a great player, not to discount them at all. And GG's to both players.
Yes, GG's. And then let's get to know one of our other top 8 players a little better. We have Honk, who took down Class 101 this season. They decided to bring Blue-Black Rogues this week. Always a solid deck choice. It's one of those ones that's just been around for months. Like it's never a bad choice. It's an exceedingly difficult deck to play, but it was also their favorite deck that they have played this season. So I'm glad to see them show up with it.
Yeah, I am also a big Rogues fan. It's one of my favorite decks as well. It's a deck that is definitely difficult to pilot, and you have to kind of just, in a way, cede to what your hand is basically telling you to do. If it's telling you to be aggressive, you have to figure out how to make that work. If it's telling you to be reactive, you have to figure out how to make that work. And not a lot of players can do it, but when you can, it really does work out. It's great against, it has proven to be great against Izzet Dragons. It's not a solid lock, but it is strong against it, depriving it on multiple of resources on different axes, as well as any other deck. I mean, as long as you're not worried about playing against mono red, it's a pretty decent pick.
No, I like it. It's definitely a solid deck. And like you said, familiarity with a deck definitely scores you some points, especially with a complicated, intricate deck like Rogues. So let's check out the interview that you did with Honk here and get to know them a little bit better. I hope you said their name like that the entire interview. I really do.
Oh, absolutely.
I would have prefaced every question with that.
Yeah.
Love it.
Hello and welcome to the VML Top 8 Interviews. I am Ellie and I am joined by Honk.
Hi, I'm Honk. You can pronounce that, you can yell that, you can blow your nose, and I will answer to that as well.
I love it. Well, Honk, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I signed up for the Lorehold College. Huge fan of history and aggro, so it's me.
Love it. And what deck are you playing in the VML? Top 8.
I chose Rogues. Rogues is my favorite deck. It's I feel like people have already pinned me as a Rogues deck, but boy, do I love milling people. So I'm here for it.
Awesome. Well, what is one lesson that you have learned this season?
It sounds very silly, but I remember reading somewhere that somebody said that their gameplay improved when they realized their opponent was not taking random game actions. And yeah, like when you start thinking, what plans could my opponents have for me? Like what secrets do they, have set up? Then it helps to not go running in like charging head forward, which is my favorite style. So
That
learn to
is,
have a little bit more patience.
yeah, that's a really, really good lesson. More people should should internalize that. We should all internalize that here. I'm not gonna be that person, but other people should internalize.
Yeah, it's an option. It's there.
All right, well, tell us what does being in the VML mean for you? I know it's your second time, having this experience, so tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's been really cool. I like having something to look forward to every week. Winning is such a huge sense of accomplishment. I feel like my opponents have all been really good Magic players. It's been really cool playing against a whole bunch of people and getting to know Standard better. It's really been something I've looked forward to and I've enjoyed while cooped up at home for, the past couple of months.
20 years.
So, yeah, I've really loved it.
All right, well, that is amazing. Thank you so much for joining us, and good luck in the top 8.
Thank you.
I love it.
Honk.
Yeah.
Honk. It's super funny. So as we were recording this, just giving chat some info, some behind the scenes.
Ooh.
I'm usually have to work out a lot of energy beforehand because I'm generally a kind of like nervous person. And like the conversation that Honk and I had, like I really wish I had just recorded the previous minute and a half because it was so many good gems. And yeah, there was a significant amount of time where we were both going honk back and forth. It was a good time.
I feel like that could have easily just been the interview.
It really probably should have, but I figured y'all want to know a little bit more about honk than just honk.
Do you like throw your neck back and kind of like get into it
every time?
So you gotta like
get it.
almost like flap your wings a little bit or something. Yeah, like kind of throw your.
You gotta use your diaphragm. You gotta.
Yeah. Everybody
maybe
like
one day. Maybe one day we'll release the honk cut, but
I feel
right
like
now
release the honk. Release the honk. Yes. All right. Yeah. I think I got it all out of my system now, though. We're good.
I haven't, so good on you. I'm a big fan of honk. I'm a big fan of people that are just kind of it's the little things in Magic that really make a difference. And it's, knowing something as simple as, my opponent is not taking random game action. So let me slow down and think about that. That's so crucial for
I liked that
as
a lot
a player to internalize that.
I was just like, well, they've never played against me, so I played Burn.
Wait a minute,
for a while, all right?
Can you please lower your voice? Excuse me.
Yeah,
Anyway, let's move on.
Yes,
move on,
I want to talk because I mean, I'm loving this. I'm loving getting to know our top 8 players better, and I want to look into some more top 8 players that we have here. We got some more slides to take a look at. First off, we have Shadow Cloak here. They, like I said earlier, went undefeated this season in Class 105, playing Gruul mostly, and then they decided to bring Jeskai Mutate last week, and they were victorious over a Bronca to move on to here where they're in the top 8, playing a Mardu mid-range deck where it's not only new to them in this competition, new to us in this competition, it's just a deck that I can't say that I have seen before.
Yeah, it's definitely not a deck that is like an established part of the meta. But it does mix up some elements that I really like and has some powerful cards here worth talking about. Showdown of the Scalds cannot be underestimated. This card, if you land this card, if it gets to its second, if it stays on the board, provides an incredible amount of value. It's a showstopper in the Naya Adventures deck, and I have no doubt it will provide some value in this deck. Has disruptive elements. So you see the Elite Spellbinder, the Radon. These are great cards that are disruptive and have and can be heavy hitters. Obviously, you see like a one of Kroxa. You see some removal aspects in here as well. I'm a fan. They felt during our interview, they felt very confident about the deck. They actually came across it on ladder and they're like, hey, wait a minute, this deck is doing some things that I think I want to be doing. And they went with their gut and they tested it and it seemed to really play out well. So that's why they kind of landed on it. And I'm liking the elements. The sideboard is good as well. It has lots of value things. I think the key thing will be, will the mana come together? And will their opponent be able to kind of, more than 1-for-1 them? So we'll just have to see.
Yes. And they did say this was their favorite deck that they had played this season, even through playing Gruul the first 7 weeks. They also went undefeated during the regular season last season in season 4 with Gruul. So they said Gruul getting a bit stale, which totally get it. Change up to Mutate, which is fun, but felt that it was a very risky choice here in top 8. One of the coolest things about the VML is being able to change to a new deck whenever you feel like it, or just playing the same deck every week if you feel like it. So a very dynamic league that we have here. And they said they feel confident in their choice regardless of their result. And that's the important part. You marry your deck. Like, to Shadowcloak, this was the best deck ever, at least for this week, no matter what happens. So
yeah, absolutely.
I love it.
I appreciate people who are willing to branch out, try things new. I think it's very easy to kind of get in your own head and think that you shouldn't experiment. And you can sometimes limit yourself from learning different kinds of play styles. So I always appreciate when people try something new.
Yes. Oh, gotta love it. And speaking of trying something new, our next competitor was Hayu. Our
I've never heard of this
fellow,
person
right?
before.
Who is this person?
Who is it? Who is she?
Fantastic VML caster. Wizards casting some events for Wizards. Make sure you follow her on Twitter at Nefet. Give her a follow. Like, definitely, I would say up and coming, but I'm pretty sure she's already there. On Jeskai Mutate, which is the deck that we were just talking about that Shadowcloak had brought last week. I kind of like this deck. I feel like it's a little bit, I don't know, I don't want to say like convoluted, where it's like
it's
a little
absolutely convoluted.
Okay,
no,
sure.
It is. No, but, it's absolutely, we don't need to lie to people. It's absolutely convoluted.
But like, I love me a good unsubstantiate. I don't know about you. I mean, like,
it works. I'm not saying it doesn't work, but I'm also not going to lie to people and act like this is not a 5-card combo. Let's just be clear with what we were saying here. But we saw it in the Strixhaven Championship. We saw it last week. This deck is powerful. It definitely does things. It's hard to interact with, and when it's hard to interact with, maybe in the current meta, it's a little bit difficult for people to know when to interact and not. And you know what? Even when it doesn't have like the combo, you know what it does have? A 5/5 dragon. That's what it has.
Yeah,
a 5/5 dragon with counterspell backup then can be protected. So that's what it does have.
Goldspan Dragon's such a powerful card just by itself. So it's just like, yeah. I don't know about you. I've died a Goldspan Dragon quite a few more times than I care to admit.
Yeah.
In this standard format. So, I totally get it. I go, they go, play Goldspan Dragon. I go Heartless Act it. And they go, nah, I'm going to use the treasure that you gave me to negate that. And I go, all right, fine, you win.
Right, exactly. I have died to a Goldspan Dragon. And now listen, you will never see me begrudge a red card. I would never, not in this house. Absolutely not. But if I never saw another Goldspan Dragon again, I'd be okay. I'd be fine. It's worth playing.
Yeah, we're good. I like that Hayu said before this week her favorite deck would have been Rogues, but then saw this deck, loved it, decided to try playing it on the ladder for a bit, just relentlessly lost with it and decided to submit it for top 8. So
honestly, that's when you know. Like if you
That's
can't
how
beat
you know.
him, join him. Just
Right?
do the dang thing. Just
do love it. I do.
the earth is on
love it.
fire. What are we wasting time for? Just sleeve up the dragon. What do
You
you
just leave it all.
come on?
All the dragon. Well, the dragon and the lizard beast.
Are we gonna
And
do this with the
are we
Dracus
gonna do
again?
this
Are
again?
you,
No,
you
no.
want to do this with the Dracus
You
again?
said the word, the Dracus.
No, yeah,
Dracus?
but I said it for you.
I'm not going to say it anymore because I'm not going to.
You're just gonna avoid the
I'm
word
gonna
entirely?
just-
That's
I'm gonna-
healthy. That's
I'm going to call it
healthy.
lizard beast.
Perfect.
The lizard beast.
All right. What else we got?
We have our next topic competitor here. We're going to be looking at is another VML caster here, Becky Bear. So you can follow them on Twitter at Becky Bear as well on Soultimatum, because if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Sultai has been her go-to all season, and it's just like every other Sultai deck. You just play your ultimate and be like, "Can you beat me?" I hope if for your sake, you better be able to, because I'm about to win the game. And it's just like, this is my plan. Here it is. Deal with it. So
yeah, this deck is great. It's one of my favorites. It might feel monotonous to some people, but I love it. I think it's a great deck. You're playing super powerful spells, and you're just asking a simple question. Can you answer the first Sultai ultimatum? Can you answer the first ultimatum? Yes. Can you answer the second? No, didn't think so. Thanks for coming. You should have eaten your food. So I love the vibe.
Yeah, I definitely do too, and the fact that she does play a good amount of threats in the main as well, like 2 Elder Gargaroth and 2 Pelucranos. So if they actually can, if she goes deal with my ultimate, and they go, okay, I will, and she can go, oh, okay, I'm just gonna play Pelucranos instead and kill you.
Yeah,
so.
you know what a Goldspan Dragon cannot answer? A 6/6 with reach and vigilance that gets value and it blocks and attacks. It can't answer that.
Elder Gargi's my buddy.
That's right.
So we will see how she does later on this evening as we move on to our next slide, and the last one that we're going to take a look at before we move into the semis here. We have Piper Powell on Prismizit Dragons. I just like saying the word Prismizit so much. So we're back here on our Goldspan Dragons, but this one's surrounded by quite a few different cards. Bone Crusher Giant and Brazen Borrower and things like that. So no unsubstantiates here.
Yeah, I will say I'm pretty sure this is the same list that that Piper played for top 16. I'm pretty sure it's very, very close to the same. Has very good spells, good against Sultai, Ultimatum, good against rogues, by the way. This is a better version against rogues because it plays not just it's just like Phoenix of Ash comes out quicker than an Ox, and it's hard to deal with. So yeah, loving this deck. I think this deck is really flexible. This deck does best when it just does its thing, which is the dragon part, but it can for a bit of time, especially if you're a skilled pilot, which Piper Powell no doubt is, knows how to manage your resources appropriately.
See, it's funny because when I first saw this deck list and everybody was like, oh, is it dragons, Prismari dragons, whatever. I looked at the list and I went, more than half of the creatures aren't even dragons. And then I played against it and I went, oh.
Yeah. It's not about the quantity, baby. It's the quality.
Oh, it is the quality. And if nothing else, Goldspan Dragon and Galazeth Prismari are quality cards. That is for sure. So now that we've looked at some slides, I'd like to look at a bracket. I want to kind of know how this top 8 went down. What semifinals matches are we going to be checking out after this? Ooh. And here we go. We have Doriable versus Zabricus. Zabricus we already know, but congratulations, Doriable, for moving on to the top 4. GG's to Honk for an excellent season. One more honorary honk for you. Honk! Honk! And then on the bottom half of our bracket, we have Piper Powell taking down Shadow Cloak there, and Becky Bear taking down Hayu. So they both move on to the top 4. GG's to Shadow Cloak and Hayu as well for a fantastic season. For those of you who are here a little bit late, just so you know, there's a whole bunch of prizes going to the top 8. We pay down to top 16 here. It's a $3,500 prize pool. Channel Fireball Pro subscriptions to the top 8. It's a 1 month for 2nd through 8th and 1 year for our first place champion. So some really great stuff here. And obviously the champion also gets the invitation to the next premier Magic Circuit event. So a lot of stuff on the line here, and we are in our top 4. Isn't this so exciting? I'm so excited.
I know. I mean, impressive players continue to move on. Dream, Piper, very impressive. Becky, great players, experienced players. I mean, I'm ready. I'm in it. I'm in it. I love to see talented people do their thing.
Love it. So I guess let's take a look at our first semis match. Ready to dive in here and check out our first video. Let's watch. This is going to be Becky Bear versus Piper. We are going to watch from the side of Becky. So Becky on the play first draw for screen for a minute, because in the playoffs we do seeding. So Becky did choose to draw here, but that is only because Piper is a higher seed. So
yeah,
just to make that clear to everybody. And 3 lands of Binding the Old Gods, Shadow's Verdict, Wolf Haven, Cultivate. A lot of ramp here. Kind of like this hand. What do you think, Ellie?
I think this hand is good. I think you really do want to ramp. Wolf Haven would have made me keep this card, or keep this hand. You want to ramp because you want to be able to basically get out from under counter spells. It looks like Piper did foretell a card, most likely a you kind of have to assume as a Sultai player it is counter spell, but you want to ramp. You want to try and get to ultimatum, and yeah, sometimes this is going to happen where your ramp spells get countered, but you just have to do what you have to do.
Yes.
The best thing I feel like with this particular matchup, you kind of just want to slam a thing that they have to continue to answer until they can't answer it anymore. And this is great. This is a kind of good position here.
Yes, we'll see the Galazeth Prismari come down on Piper's side. Becky does have answers to that in the Binding the Old Gods, excuse me. Unfortunately, a pretty dead card in like Shadow's Verdict, as like you had said earlier. The Brazen Bars
totally
and Bone Crusher Giant, not as important in this matchup as the dragons are. So we'll see that Binding come down, take care of that Galazeth. Another Fable Passage on the side of Piper, who has 3 cards in hand and a 1 Foretold card. There it is. Goldspan Dragon onto the battlefield, making some treasure. So Piper being able to attack and now having 4 open mana. So
yeah, this is a real issue, even if there's only this is a real problem here, because 4 damage is no joke. Almost certainly Piper has a counter for whatever you're about to do. So unless you can do 2 of those things, what exactly are you doing?
Yes. And looking like Becky kind of has to play into it a little bit here.
You absolutely have to. You don't have a choice. There's no way to really play around it. You don't have a Mystical Dispute backup, so you just have to put out the thing for them to answer. That's what you can do.
All right. So the Saw It Coming will take care of that second Binding the Old Gods. Land will be played and passing back to Pipers. So who will play a land for turn, attack with that 4/4, make a treasure. Faceless Haven, not just a land, a Faceless Haven here. And then play the All Runs Epiphany. So having 6 power in the air and access to a Faceless Haven, which will be activated here. This is an attack for 10. That brings Becky down to 2.
This is potentially lethal if Piper has a Bone Crusher on it.
We'll see if there is a Stomp in hand. A land gets played and a pass back of the turn. We see a Pelukranos there. Binding will go away. So Shadow's Verdict, land, Elder Gargaroth, Pelukranos, and a Yorion in the companion zone right now.
So unfortunately, even if Becky sticks this Elder Gargaroth, that will not work. Like let's say they can block the Goldspan Dragon and like make another blocker. That's not going to work. I do not believe Pelucranos saves them either.
I think that if Becky blocks the Faceless Haven and then fights the Goldspan Dragon,
it's still 2.
It's still because then that doesn't gain. Yeah, I think that you are
2.
correct.
Yeah, this is exactly what Is It wants to do. This is exactly what Prismari Dragons wants to do, is be able to kind of deal with a little bit of ramp and just overtake them, just overwhelm them. Because like as we can see, Shadow's Verdict is a dead hand.
Yes,
is a dead card in hand.
I'm sure those will be coming out in game 2 here. Becky blocking the Pelucranos on the Faceless Haven, but taking a little too much damage there. And we will move on to game number 2. So yes, some dead cards I'm sure coming out of both decks. Take a look at Becky's side here
throw
first.
That all away.
Yeah.
None of that is resolving. None of that is resolving. Like, don't worry about it. None of it's resolving.
We don't need Kioras, shaving the ultimatums. Like, we don't want any of that nonsense. Yeah. Coma, however, will resolve. So
Coma's good. Yeah, I appreciate sometimes you just have to know when to abandon the thing that your deck is trying to do. And Sultai, you're either not going to get there or it's not resolving. Either way, it is not for you. You need to figure out something else to do.
All right.
This is a good hand. I like this.
I like the opening Duress in the hand, as well as an Omen of the Sea, a Wolfwillow Haven for a little bit of ramp. The 2 untapped lands to go with the Triome. So you have all your colors. Feels pretty good. Piper is also going to keep 7 and pass back the turn. We'll see Becky deciding to Duress before playing a land. So we'll see what Piper's hand is here.
Yeah, I think this was less about when to play the land and more about let's just Duress and figure this out.
Yes. All right. So we see a Brazen Borrow, a Galazeth, an island, a mountain, and a negate as well as they saw it coming. So they saw it coming. Will hit the bin. As foretelling cards can get a little bit confusing, like that. And then a pass back of the turn. Another Duress, the draw for turn on Becky's side.
Yeah. Becky potentially having the access to 4 mana. Yeah. So could Duress or could play Omen of the Sea. Yeah. Looks like you're going to set up for clean Omen of the Sea at end step.
So Omen of the Sea, very important for card advantage. Speaking of card advantage, Maze Mind Tome, yes, will be negated very, very quickly. Don't want to see card advantage is a big deal in this matchup. So being able to keep your opponent off of cards is super important.
Yeah, absolutely. Maze Mind Tome is an absolutely not. Like, is an absolutely do not let that. Do not let that card hit the battlefield. No.
Absolutely not.
It's a no from me.
We'll see a top here. Keeping the Extinction event as like an emergency button here. Just get rid of the Galazeth Prismari.
Yeah, whatever. I mean, it's a 3/4. I see waiting. I understand if you don't want to wait and want to set up Yorion. I think that's fine. It's not private betting. I probably would have just dealt with it as is, but I'm much more of I play a little bit safer. But it makes sense either way. Becky is taking legal game actions. Yes. How about that?
Piper with just 2 cards in hand. One of them happens to be a Goldspan Dragon here, though. So that's a little bit scary. We'll see Negate and Temple of Malady both go to the bottom there off of the Omen of the Sea Sack Scry. Both those dragons gonna get in. This is a hit for 7. Becky's still at 20 though, so this would only drop her down to 13. We'll see if Piper has anything else that they'd like to do here. Perhaps
they're either they probably don't have anything. Whatever they have, they can just do on Becky's turn. If it's a counter spell that's in the foretell zone, then they can just wait, obviously, and then they can use the treasure for petty theft. Actually, petty theft would be sick against Coma. Like if Becky draws a land.
Yeah, I think Piper may be considering using Petty Theft on the Wolf Willow Haven, perhaps,
You know,
as sort of a Stone Rain, I guess.
it is a legal game action.
We'll
So
see.
I don't disagree with you.
And I think it depends on also what the card is that Piper does have in the foretell zone.
Right.
So it just
That is
all
a
comes
big-
back to that. It's like
That is a big thing.
Is it a saw it coming that they could hold up for whatever Becky's next play is? Or is it an all runs epiphany that, maybe you just want to have more treasure for to be able to afford to cast it?
Mhm.
So an Omen of the Sea, the draw here on Becky's side. So looks like the Extinction event does resolve, takes care of that Goldspan Dragon. So Galazeth Prismari, the only threat left on the battlefield. The second Omen of the Sea now coming down. Bottom, and revealing a Volky.
Well, that's kind of bananas that we bottomed. Okay. All right. We have a plan.
I like plans. Plans are great.
We love plans. I love plans. I'm a big fan of plans. Yeah, so because we really do need a second. We need a second blue.
Yes, a second blue. There is no second blue source. Becky does have 7 mana up, but unfortunately, it's just not blue. There's a 1 blue available at the moment. Now, this Volky is going to come down. It's very interesting because Brazen Borrower is the card in hand for Piper. So this is kind of like forcing Piper to cast it.
I don't think you aggressively care, but
it looks like
about a 2/1.
It looks like Piper is going to
cast a Brazen Bar. That makes sense. If Piper doesn't have removal in hand,
yeah. And well, this would be lethal if the card that Piper does have in the foretell zone is an all runs epiphany.
Mm-hmm.
So because that attack brings Becky down to 4, and it is. And unfortunately, Becky does not have an answer to that. So
hello and welcome.
Match will end 2-0 in the favor of Piper. GG's to Becky, and awesome job, Piper. Moving on to the finals. That's fantastic.
Saw Piper do her thing, like know exactly this is what my hand can let me do, and I'm going to play to this out. And I'm going to care about certain spells. I'm really only going to have to care about a spell when I have to care about a spell. Yep. And so, yeah, it was great. Obviously, it did work out in Piper's favor that Becky was down 1 blue. But that's how it be sometimes.
Yes. That's the way the coma coils. That's right.
Somebody.
No, yes, maybe.
Absolutely.
Honk.
Yes. Well, a good time.
It is a good time. This is a fantastic time. And I want to take a second to thank all of you for joining us tonight. I cannot wait for our next semifinals match against Doriable and Zabricus. And from there, we move on to our live finals. And I can't stress enough how there's so much on the line. I cannot wait to send somebody to the next big premier Wizards event that they have for Magic Arena. So it's so exciting. So exciting. Whew. So what do you say we move on to our next? We are going to take a look at some more interviews.
Yeah, I love that.
And then after that, we're going to take a quick break. So let's dive into some interviews for now and get those going.
Hello and welcome to one of our VML top 8 interviews. I'm Ellie and I'm joined with fellow caster and great player Becky Bear. Becky, tell the people a little bit about yourself.
Hi, I'm Becky Bear. Becky is spelled without a C, otherwise known as Lovely in the world of MTG Arena. I was in Witherbloom College and I played Sultimatum literally the entire season of VML.
The entire season,
season.
Even week 1.
Even week 1.
Dang, there's something to be said about commitment. Maybe you don't have a C in your name, but you do put the C in commitment. So,
Exactly.
So, all right, well, tell us a lesson that you have learned this season.
Try not to get discouraged. I did go 1-3 at the start of the season and was like, maybe this doesn't really matter and I'll just like chill. And like, I think I actually started to play a lot better the moment that I took the pressure off of my shoulders and was just like, I'm just gonna focus on each game and just play them like normal and go from there. And I think that that's probably the biggest thing that I learned.
That's awesome. Definitely very good advice there. What has you have been a part of the VML for like a long time now. So relatively, I mean, 2020 was 10 years, so we're going to say a long time.
Yeah, exactly.
What has it meant for you to be a part of the VML?
It's always been, from the moment that I heard about it, I've always been very interested in creating a space that was very good for people who are of marginalized genders to have a place to play Magic and interact with other players and kind of have this like higher echelon space, because there's like the space of like a local game store, but if you're playing with a bunch of other people who are like you, who are trying to be competitive, you have this really good space to grow as a player and be around people who are similar to you. And I think that that is invaluable, and the VML has done a great job of it. A little biased, I because I've been a part of it for so long and been a caster for them for so long, but it's because it means a lot to me that I've been a part of it for so long.
Well, we are definitely glad to have you. You have saved our skins a time or two, so we're super glad to have you and to see you in the top 8. So congrats on making it here, and good luck the rest of the way.
Thank you.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another VML Top 8 interview. I'm Ellie, and I'm joined by fellow caster extraordinaire. Hi, you. Hi, you. Tell the people a little bit.
Wow, extraordinaire.
Extraordinaire indeed. You do a lot of stuff. Hi, you. You keep me in check. That's a full-time job.
It is.
Exactly.
Yeah, I've actually outsourced a lot of that to Caroline recently.
Yeah, she's been struggling, but she's doing an okay job. No, introduce yourself to everybody.
Hi everyone, I'm Hayu, otherwise known as Nefet. I'm a professional Magic the Gathering caster, and I'm also one of the co-chairs of the VML. So myself and Caroline the Mighty Linguini are the people responsible for this whole shebang.
Indeed. Why don't you tell us, Your Majesty, a lesson that you've learned this season?
I guess the biggest lesson I've learned this season is that putting in the work is helpful. And you know, that sounds very trite, but I think in previous seasons I was just like playing decks that I enjoyed and didn't think too deeply about the specific match that I was playing. But this season I really drilled down and put a lot of work into learning each matchup. And and I would say a second lesson I learned this season is that having a healthy routine, like going out for a run or doing some exercise beforehand, is really helpful for doing better in Magic.
Yeah, those are some great words of wisdom. Thank you for imparting them to us. I would super agree about the putting in the work. Very important. I've been kind of doing the same thing. It's great. Last question. So what does being a part of the VML and being the VML co-chair mean to you?
I mean, being VML co-chair has really changed my life entirely, so it means a lot. When Caroline and I started out on the VML, it was just a tournament where it was 20 of our friends, and we were like, come play Magic with us. And we really took the VML and grew that sort of small, casual, fun organization into a much more competitive, integral part, I think, of the Magic community today. And I'm really proud of what we've become, the sponsorships that we've managed to get, the invites to the Magic esports premier events. And I think from here on out, the VML only has more places to go.
Well, thank you so much for being here. Congrats on the top 8 and good luck.
Thank you very much.
Hello and welcome to another one of our VML top 8 videos. I'm Ellie and I'm joined by Shadow Cloak, who's in our top 8. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi there. So my name is Bruns, aka Shadow Cloak. I'm from Brazil. I'm a Silver alumnus, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm playing Mardu mid-range-ish, question mark.
Yes, you are playing a very off the beaten trail deck there. What made you want to pick that?
Yep. So this goes into like the lesson that I learned, which is the importance of adaptability. Because I'd been playing Gruul for like months, but the decks that it beat up, which were mostly mono red and rogues, they weren't being played so much anymore. So I figured I had to do something different. So I chose a different deck for the top 16, and it worked out, but I wasn't feeling super confident. And then one day I got completely beat up on ladder by this random person who was playing this Mardu deck, and I was like, I gotta try that. And so I did my best to like rebuild it out of my own memory, and it's been working out great.
Well, that's awesome. So learning to adapt, that's your lesson, and it's a really great lesson, and I hope it serves you well. Can you tell us a little bit about what being a part of the VML has meant for you in terms of like your experience and how you feel about it?
Sure. I think the word that comes to mind is opportunity, opportunity to win some prizes, some qualifications, opportunity to play some cool people, and to, think about the game and get better at the game. The opportunity to, meet some people. And it's been great so far, especially when it comes to recognition, as a non-binary person. That's something that's not super naturalized in my day-to-day life yet, but there are at least some spaces where I can be totally who I am, I guess.
Well, I'm glad that this space has you, and this is your second top 8 in a row.
Yes.
And I think that's amazing.
2 seasons, 2 top 8s.
Yeah, so great. Good luck with the rest of it, and thank you so much.
Thanks a lot. Thank you, guys.
Hello and welcome to another VML top 8 video. I'm Ellie and I'm joined by the amazing cosplayer and top 8 competitor, Zavricus. Zavricus, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I have a very loud corgi who really wants to be a part of this interview too, but he's yeah, it's okay. He's in. I'm sorry. Hey, come here. Here. Okay. There.
Wow. Look at that butterball. What's that butterball's name?
This is Smee. He's very loud and wants to eat my chocolate cake.
Smee, thanks for coming to hang out with us and cheering your mom on in the top 8.
Oh, he's my selfless savior, I guess.
All right, so tell us a little bit about a lesson that you have learned this season.
Yeah, so this particular season, I learned that it really is best to just pick a deck to play that you're most comfortable with.
Mm-hmm.
But that's also competitive. So as much fun as like crazy jank decks are, probably not the best way to go. But it's also totally fine to make your deck more like fun and creative to fit your play style. And also that variety is good for both your mental health and just being unpredictable for your opponents. I know that when I was even canvassing my opponents and looking at their decks, the opponents that had like lots of different decks that they'd played like over the course of time, it was definitely a lot harder to decide what deck to play. So, variety is good for, yourself and just in general.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was a lot.
No, it's perfect. I too did a lot of lurking on my opponents, and I got every meta call right. I didn't win every game. Okay, well, don't count week 1, but besides that, so I feel you. Lots of good lessons there. Love to hear it. Can you tell us what has it meant for you to be a part of the VML? Like, how has this been a part of your Magic experience?
Yeah, I've loved every moment of it. I mean, this is my 3rd season doing the VML. And it's just a place where I feel like I'm truly like comfortable playing and competing. And it's been a blast to be able to connect with my opponents after the matches, whether that's on Twitter or Discord, just talking about our match, cheering each other on, win or lose. And like, it's not that that's impossible to do with like other tournaments and whatnot, but it just feels so much easier to connect with my opponents in the league, just because we already have like that common ground that's brought us all together in the league to begin with. It just is a fun place that brings us all together. So the camaraderie, that's what I love.
Camaraderie. Well, 3 cheers for camaraderie and good luck to you in the top 8. Thank you so much for participating.
Yep.
Cool. Come on, me. I'm just gonna do a little. Just kidding. I don't do cocaine. I'm just kidding.
We might both be laughing. I'm just saying. This is VML intermission ASMR.
I think there's a ghost.
So, in case you all were wondering why I give Phoebe such a huge shout out every week, is because if Phoebe leaves us unsupervised for like 45 seconds, that's something like that usually happens.
Honestly, I would just like to say that there was a ghost in my room, and
it was actually a pretty scary one.
Right,
I think Simon scared it away. Cats are good with that stuff.
Yes. This smeared mascara is out of fear and not crying laughing.
Yes, and the red in my cheeks, that's from sheer excitement
Oh yeah.
for this next semifinals match.
It's actually 80 degrees in my house. That's actually a fact.
But yes, but in all seriousness, I do want to give our producer Phoebe a huge shout out. If you don't already follow on Twitch, twitch.tv/Code Indigo, make sure you give her a follow. She is fabulous. She's phenomenal. She is Phoebe. I love her. So make sure you are following her. And while we're at it, I do want to thank our other fantastic sponsors for making this night possible. The NRG series for helping us through this entire season. We've been working with them all season. And, just speaking, we may have a little something in the works, for maybe, like a weekend sort of, plan with some weekend plans, over the summer. It sounds nice to me, historically speaking, I've had, nice we've had very good experiences with the NRG series. So we may have something on the horizon to announce with them very, very soon. So, which is quite exciting. And also with Wizards of the Coast, who has, again, worked with us all season, has supplied us with so much support, both for the prize pool and otherwise, to kind of get us out there, help us grow. This is our 5th season here at the VML, so it's been great. And Channel Fireball, with all their love on Twitter, hanging out in chat right now. They great. Oh, we love you guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with us and showing all the love and supporting our prize pool as well as our players. So y'all are great. And if you love the VML as much as we do, you can see Ellie's got some swag on right now. So I got my swag. I had to go grab my swag too during the break.
Also, for those of you who love hoods,
it's so comfortable. Like, you could see how comfortable these hoodies are. Make sure you check out, it's at MTG Pro Shop on Twitter. If you're not following us on Twitter, by the way, make sure you follow us at VML MTG. Our pinned tweet is for these sweet hoodies and t-shirts. So check that out, mtgproshop.com/VML. Get your own swag so you look good next season. So you're ready for season 6, or maybe that sweet weekend event that we may or may not have coming up soon with the NRG series.
I really want to learn more about this thing that you're teasing me about. I want to know.
I wish I could tell you more, but maybe I will, maybe I won't. I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know. I'm eager to find out.
It might not happen. It might not happen tonight. We might have to, put this night, this night might have to be history. We'll make it historic.
Honestly,
and put it behind us, and maybe next week.
Pretend like the last 10 minutes just didn't happen. That'd be sick. I'd be cool with that. I'd put that on ice for the rest of the time.
That's fine, right?
That'd be sick.
All right. So I am so ready to get back into some action here, though. We just saw Piper Powell take down Becky in the first semis. Now we are headed over to the second semis, which is Doriable versus Zabricus, which is actually a mirror. So some deck choice here with this mono white aggro.
Yes.
Seems to have been a good call on both sides. So, but only one can survive. There can only be one.
There can only be one. Indeed. So yeah, Doriable is playing mono white aggro as a Zabricus. So I imagine this to be kind of a pretty back and forth match. Cards that the cards that really matter are going to be cards like Glass Casket. Who can see their Glass Casket? Who can kind of disrupt what their opponent is doing? This is going to really matter. Who can get over the top of their opponent's board? Also going to matter.
Yes. It's what part of my deck am I going to see is pretty much what it comes down to. How are the draws going to sequence? Are they going to draw the cards that are good in the matchup or the cards that aren't so good in the matchup? So how it's like most mirrors, I would imagine, who has the better answers, who's more mana efficient, who has, more cards in hand. So I think is what it's going to come down to.
Yeah, I think the only difference, but the biggest difference between the list is that Doriable is playing some Drannith Magistrates main. That doesn't super affect what Zabricus is trying to do. It doesn't really hit any particular cards. It does hit the adventure cards, so Giant Killer, it hits that.
I see that.
So that could matter. But yeah, they're pretty much they're very similar lists. So, when it comes to this, you just kind of have to get into it.
Yeah, and that's what we are going to do here. We'll see. That is a lot. I see Adorable is actually playing four main deck Drannith Magistrate, which is great against decks that like Sultai Ultimatum and things like that. But we'll see.
Yeah, and their sideboards are a little different too. Like Zabricus has Luris, while Doriable does not. So it looks like Dorable's sideboard gets a little bit bigger, which could play out here. But we'll just have to see.
Yes, I guess let's dive into this match here. So we have Doriable versus Zabricus. Doriable, our first overall seed. We will be watching from her side, and on the other side we have Zabricus. So this is a mono white aggro mirror. Let's see what happens here. Doriable with a decent hand to start. It's a two planes, Luminarch Aspirant, Season Hollowblade, double Elite Spellbinder, and a Skyclave Apparition on the play here. As we said, Doriable being the highest seed. Looks like keep on both sides. And here we go. We're off to the races.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad we're on the same page.
Yeah, we are. We do appear to be on the same page. That's weird.
We'll see all Seed of Life bounty come down on Zabricus' side, and a Luminarch Aspirant coming down for Doriable, quickly becoming a 2/2 and a pass back of the turn. Seasoned Hollowblade from Zabricus.
Yeah, Seasoned Hollowblade is a very powerful card. I would not be surprised if we kind of want to see a Skyclave app. Either one of these 3-drops. I think you do want to be mana efficient, so I definitely see playing a 3-drop over, let's say, the second Luminarch Aspirant or the Hollowblade here. You want to be able to max your mana. So that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, absolutely. Snatch that Skyclave Apparition out of your opponent's hand and just get chunkier than just get chunky.
Yeah, I like it. So that Luminarch Aspirant's going to grow even bigger. 3/3. Still not going to attack, though. Past the turn and back. Radan is going to be the play on Zabricus' side and just a pass back of the turn. Doriable will draw their 4th land here, so able to double spell here if wanting to. Oh, sorry. The snow cover play is coming in tapped. Oh, Radan doing some work already on Zabricus' side.
Radan does do some work.
Radan does do some work. Look at that.
I think, yeah, absolutely. So while Zabricus has maxed out her mana, Doriable can deploy the Skyclave Apparition and get rid of that blocker and swing in here.
And it looks like Doriable will come across for 7. We'll see if Zabricus is going to block, and it doesn't look like she will. So she will take 7 and drop down to 13. Doriable still has some gas in hand too. Zabricus will play her 4th land. 3 cards in hand at the moment. Giant Killer gonna take care of that Luminarch Aspirant. We know that there is an all seed in Zabricus' hand as well. Giant Killer will be played after the chop down took care of Aspirant. And so,
yeah, I think it was smart for Doriable to basically to swing in with the 4/4 Luminarch and offer the trade. Knows that Zabricus that they have had a Giant Killer in hand, so might as well just commit to what it is that you're doing and leave your flyer basically Giant Killer proof.
Yeah, and it looks like Elite Spellbinder can't be blocked here. But the Skyclave Apparition, which was grown by the Luminarch Aspirant, is attacking as a 3/3. So all Seed of Life's bounty will jump in front of that, gain a life up to 11 from the damage that Zabricus took there. Elite Spellbinder.
Yeah, Zabricus is in a lot of trouble because it doesn't really have much of a board presence. And now that Doriable has applied the pressure and has the board presence that she has, doesn't really have much to be afraid of. You have 6 power in the air. You can just block whatever they do on the ground. You don't really care.
And Skyclave Apparition, not as good as a 5-drop. And unfortunately, Zabricus misses their 5th land drop there as well. Giant Kill the draw for turn on Doriable's side. But can comfortably attack with most of her creatures here.
Mm-hmm. I do like the way that Dorable's playing very smart here, not targeting either of the flying creatures with Luminarch Aspirant. I think that is a very smart of them. So either way, they're dodging future giant killers.
So we'll see a giant killer tap down that Skyclave Apparition that Luminarch Aspirant had added a counter onto, and in response, Dorable will activate Faceless Haven. So this is an attack for 10.
Yes.
Season Hollow has a lot of pressure. That 6 in the air, not much that can be done about that. Not discarding to Season Hollow Blade, going to sack All Seed instead. So
okay,
down to 5.
I think that was a mistake there from Zabricus. Can't really name Colorless. So unfortunately cost them 2 creatures as opposed to just 1.
Yes.
But sometimes that happens. Those color rules are a little bit tricky to try and keep track of.
Yes, definitely. That things like that, they happen. Luminarch Aspirant going to come down on Zabricus' side, but just can't claw back into this game. Those 6 power of flying, just too much to handle here. And we'll move to sideboards. We'll see Dorable quickly bringing in those glass caskets. So going to be a big player in this matchup. And out go those Drannith Magistrates. Most of the Drannith Magistrates. It looks like one will stay in.
Yeah, they don't really do that much. They, like I said before, they really only do any work against the giant killer. They really only do things against the Shepherd of the Flock, and it's not the same impact as, let's say, preventing all runs Epiphany or spells cast from Genesis Ultimatum. Emergent Ultimatum. So, might as well put in buffer creatures and more interactive stuff.
Oh, for sure. That makes total sense. We'll see as Zabricus still sideboarding here. Definitely a very interesting matchup to watch the 2 mono.
I like aggro mirrors, actually.
They're very intricate. It becomes more intricate when 2 aggro decks go at each other. Like watching a burn mirror is like super, it's things need to be handled very delicately. So
yes, indeed. This is a hand that I can get behind.
Kind of like that. Shadow Spear on 1 and a pass back of the turn. All Seed coming across. Dorable down to 19. Zabricus up to 21. Playing that Faceless Haven, and down comes Luminarch Aspirant.
Yep, just making your All Seed a little bit irrelevant. But hey, you can always land Maul with Skyclaves.
Right?
If you wanted. if you have that in hand. Which it doesn't seem like
groggy.
There is. Ooh, I do think that's kind of... is there a giant killer in hand?
That's
You're not
an
just
interesting
passing
question.
3 mana because you ain't got nothing in hand. You're an aggro deck. You want to cast your spell, so there's a reason why you're passing.
So passing on 3 is definitely interesting with 5 cards in hand. That's a lot of cards.
Right. No, there's a reason you are not choosing to cast a spell. I sniff a giant killer, maybe if like the combination of the extra counter and the equipment there could have meant that it would be 4. So I like that it seems like Dorable is also sniffed out. There's something else going on here.
Yeah.
So just choosing to run it in and see how her opponent responds.
Yeah, so we see in All Seed chump block, so Zabricus up to 22. And double giant killer in Dorable's hand, so they're thinking about just playing 1 as a creature here. As sort of a defensive mechanism, maybe?
Yeah, I think either way, like it's not. Yeah, I think either way it's fine. You have a good blocker. 2/3 is a good blocker. Neither creature is going to get felled by a chop down. And then your next turn you can swing in with 7 power, or you can, and like you got options. You're just giving yourself options here. There's no reason to play either of the apparitions. So, like I said, you really do want to be able to use your mana. So that the fact that Zabricus is not using their mana, that is a thing. That's something to think about. Meanwhile, Dorible's like, well, I'm just going to use I'm still going to use my mana to the best of my advantage.
Yes, and an interesting draw, an Archon of Emeria here on Dorible's side, which makes those Skyclave apparitions look just that much better if they are able to stick the Archon and leave it in play, because they would be able to limit Zabricus to 1 threat a turn and be able to answer those threats with the Skyclave apparitions or with the chop down. We'll see Faceless Haven get animated here.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah, I think, if you're Dorible, you're fine with trading a creature for a land, for one of your opponent's land, especially knowing how important resources are in this mirror.
Yes.
I think that makes sense. You don't really want to waste your you don't want to have to use your chop down unless you have to.
Yes, and looking at this battlefield here, I mean, Zabricus just played now again a 4th land, and Dorible has a 2/3 flyer, a 3/3 that's able to make the other creatures get bigger, and an equipment in Shadow Spear. So definitely a better battlefield. But Lurrus of the Dream Den is going to be Zabricus's play this turn.
Yeah, I think it's interesting to play the Lurrus and not to play the
All-Seed.
Not to play the All-Seed. But I think Dorible is fully in the driver's seat here. Doesn't have too much to. You got too much to worry about.
Yes, and with both players at 22 life right now, Dorible looks like they're ready to get on the offensive. We'll see. And yes, Dorible getting into the red zone with that 4/4 trampling, life-linking Luminarch Aspirant and the 3/4 flyer. So Zabricus will drop down to 15, Dorible up to 26, and just gonna hold the chop down, gonna hold hold the giant killer and hold the double Skyclave apparition. Speaking of chop down.
Hey.
Hey, there it is. So chop down will take care of that Luminarch Aspirant. Shadow Spear going to go back to the corner of the battlefield, and Lurrus will get in for 3 lifelink. So Zabricus back up to 18. Dorible drawing another Faceless Haven for turn here. So quite a few options.
I am dying to know what is in Zabricus' hand. Like dying.
See, Faceless Haven is animated here. And looks like an attack. So Archon getting across for 3.
I think it also is important to note that both. Yeah, that makes sense. Both players do have to keep in mind that they only have a certain amount of cards in their hand, so they do have to manage their resources pretty carefully. That is. Yeah, especially when you have tricks and things like that.
All right. So Seasoned Hollowblade is the call here. Glass Casket.
That gets around a Seasoned Hollowblade.
Right? It does.
Right.
It does. Yes, that Archon of Emeria has definitely made things difficult for Zabricus here. Animating that Faceless Haven. Oh, it's a lot of cards.
Who's reading cards? What do y'all think this is? No.
They're pictures.
I'll read them. I promise.
There are no words on Arena. It's pictures.
We go off pictures and intuition.
Yes. Sometimes one more than the other.
It's always pictures more than intuition. It's always pictures.
See that Seasoned Hollowblade jumping in front of the Faceless Haven, discarding a Kabira takedown to give the Seasoned Hollowblade indestructible until end of turn. But then Shadow Spear not needing to be attached to a creature to activate. So Shadow Spear going to activate Permanents your opponents control lose hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. So you made me read the words now. So
Hey, that's what I have you here for. I need you to do the reading,
Right.
and I to do the joking.
So we'll see another card get discarded to Seasoned Hollow Blade, but that does not matter because until end of turn, there's no hexproof or indestructible. So
Yeah, that's really rough. Zabricus losing out on a creature and cards there to try and save a Hollow Blade that could not be saved.
yes, so unfortunately, not being able to double spell anyway. It's definitely a rough go. Zabricus at 6 with 6 power on the battlefield right now. Giant Killer gonna kind of try to jump in front. Unfortunately, there are quite a few answers in Dorible's hand for that Giant Killer. Which one will it be? It looks like Glass Casket gonna come down here and oh, or
Listen, there are multiple ways.
There's so many ways
cut
to do
this pie.
Dorable was just trying to trick me there. So they were just like, you know what? I could play the face. Yeah, I could play Glass Casket. Yeah, there's so many
Why
things.
use resources in the hand when we can just use the resources already on the battlefield? You know what I mean?
Why not confuse the commentators?
GG's
Why not?
Dorable.
Yes, GG's adorable. Well done. And also GG's to Zabricus. First time making the VML playoffs, made it to top 4. So congrats to her for an awesome showing. And she did great. But we have our finals.
We do. It's going to be mono white against. Is it?
Is it dragons? And that's a really interesting matchup. Is it dragons is one of those decks that has just become a very popular deck now. They're in the back, and let's take a look at that bracket. There's Dorable at the top, and I need to remind you, Dorable #1 seed has not lost this season.
Not lost. Never misses this one. Never misses.
Never. So went 7-0 during the round robin rounds during the regular season. Do I call it?
Correct.
I'm in hockey. I'm in hockey mode during the round robin.
Got it.
7-0.
You can do it.
1 in top 16, 1 in top 8. Now it's 1 in top 4. So they are 10-0, which is pretty impressive. Are they going to make it 11-0, or does Piper Powell have something to say about that? So definitely going to be a very interesting. And now, like I said, these matches were pre-recorded, but now we're heading to the finals, and these will happen live. First, we're going to take a look at our interview that you did with Dorable before we head into that.
I'm Ellie, and I'm joined with. Hello, and welcome to the VML Top 8 Interviews. I'm Ellie, and I'm joined with Dorable. Dorable, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Hi, I'm Doria, or Doriable. I will, I guess for this top 8, I am going to be playing Mono White Aggro. My favorite format in Magic is Modern, and I'm playing for the Prismari College.
Awesome. What do you play in Modern?
Blue Moon.
Bless. Okay. All right. Tell me about a lesson you have learned this season.
So this season, I played a different deck every week. So I played 9 different decks, which was very interesting.
Wow.
Yeah, so I guess my lesson is sort of expanding, like, I guess the different archetypes that I play. Yeah, and that was a really good time for me.
Well, that's awesome. Well, tell us a little bit more about what the VML, like being a part of it, has meant to you.
Yeah, it's a really exciting opportunity. So for me, Magic has been kind of an on and off hobby for a really long time. And I started playing Magic more seriously again about a year and a half ago when I moved to Seattle, and meeting really like friendly people in the Seattle community was actually what drew me back into the game. And so the VML is also, I guess, a very friendly community for me. So yeah, it's actually very important to me.
Well, great. I'm so glad you have had such a positive experience. And you know what? Maybe one day we can catch a game together in Seattle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, for now, good luck. Good luck in the top 8. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Square in the face, this fucking world better prepare.
Oh, we are just about ready. Before we head into our live finals, we do have a couple of really cool announcements to make. One of them's not so much an announcement. We kind of teased it before. Can't divulge too much. But the NRG series is working closely with us to hold a historic event this within the next few weeks. Make sure you're following us on VML MTG on Twitter for all the details. That'll be the first place that things get posted. Any details and everything, we'll be able to tell you everything from there. It will be a 2-day event, and just is Goblin still good in historic?
I think. What is going on in historic? That's a great question.
I'm just gonna pretend that Muxus is still the best card in historic, and that's just kind of where we're gonna go with that. I might just cast to save myself. I might save myself the embarrassment and volunteer as tribute to cast that tournament that weekend. So
yeah, but it's big exciting news. So the VML has in the works a 2-day tournament. It's going to be historic, so a different format than what is normally done. We're going to be working in conjunction with the NRG series. It's something a lot of people have been asking for, myself included. Some people don't want to commit to attend, to a long league season. So the tournament's going to be a perfect a 2-day tournament's kind of like a perfect sweet spot for a lot of people. Hey, if you're a person of a marginalized gender and you want to participate in a competitive tournament, we're going to have one for you. So follow us on Twitter. Make sure you are following us on social media so you know exactly when is the date and how you can sign up. And yeah, thanks to the NRG and the lovely people at the VML. That's not me, because I had nothing to do with this other than whining until I got it. Follow them. Thanks to them.
Ellie, you're fantastic. You are fantastic.
Whining has an effect.
But you know what else is fantastic?
Yeah.
I know I've gone over our prize pool a few times. Big ups again, Wizards, NRG series, and Channel Fireball for all the support. Cash is fantastic. Invites to awesome events are fantastic. Channel Fireball Pro, also fantastic. But you know what's true? Just a little cherry on top. We were like, you know what? This just isn't enough. We really need to celebrate our champion. And what better way to do that than a custom token?
Oh, yeah. Custom token.
We got together with Inkling Customs because we love all of our champions equally. And we had to get our other 3 champions from our first 4 seasons. And give there's and before anybody asks, no, Caroline only got 1 token. Caroline got 1, Hogpaw got 1, and Hi Banana Fish got 1 as well. Let's take a look at the awesome work that Inkling Customs did. I
love
it.
those.
The 2 crowns, the little moose. I eat that all up. The shard token's really cool. I love the background, the design on that. Mm-hmm. And who doesn't love a shaggy puppy like Hi Banana Fish's little one? Little rambunctious.
I am so glad that I have you, because while you may not be able to pronounce the word Dracus, I didn't know how to say Hi Banana Fish, so I've been called He Banana Fish. So now I know how to say that, and so I'm happy about that. Thanks.
I mean, can I tell you a secret? That there's a non-zero possibility that I'm just not saying it right. And
no, we're going with
but then you can just blame. I mean, but the thing is, it's easy now because you can just be like, Shh, she was saying it wrong. And
yeah, absolutely.
Like, that's me.
Blame the white women. That's what I'm for. Too deep. Real. Anyway, I heard we have other things to look at.
We do. We have our two finalists waiting in the wings right now, waiting to start. Doriable versus Piper here in the finals. We have Mono White Aggro versus Prismatic Dragons, and we'll see who gets to pick their token and gets all that other stuff too.
You know.
I gotta say, custom tokens are pretty sweet. I don't know if any of you with an eagle eye noticed the questions on those slides. I was trying to be very subtle about it, but we asked all of our top 8 what kind of token that they would like. And there's some pretty cool answers. Some 8/8 Krakens, some Seagull tokens for All Runs Epiphany. So I like them. They're very creative. A couple of Thopters too. Go ahead. All right. I think we're ready to head over to this match though.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. So we will be watching from the side of Piper, and we have Doriable on the flip side. And a reminder again, Piper on the Prismatic Dragon deck and Doriable on Mono White Aggro. We'll take a look-see here. Doriable will be on the play and is keeping 7, 3 lands, double Dranith Magistrate, a Selfless Savior, and an All-Seed. We've got Piper looking at a 4-land hand, an Expressive Iteration, a Salt Coming, and a Galazeth Prismari. What do you think about this opening hand?
So I think normally Piper would be okay keeping this hand, but considering the fact that Doriable is playing a Mono White Aggro, like as we can see with Dranith Magistrate, it's a little bit sketchier. So I think Piper wants a bit more reaction. That doesn't have to do with the foretell. Unfortunately, I do not think that Piper can afford to mull any further. Unfortunately, that 6 had no land, so it has to go down to 5. And I mean, this is fine. Yeah. This is not an ideal start for Piper. Now, things about Piper, we don't have a top 8 video for them, for Piper, but she repping her Prismari College with Prismatic Dragons, as we are saying here, has played this for the past few weeks and just been a very good pilot. I have seen her personally come out of some tight spots.
Yes, and gotta love it. We'll see Dranith Magistrate on the side of Doriable, trying to keep things out of that foretell zone. But Maze Mind Tome will come down on the side of Piper. Another Brazen Burrow was the draw for turn there, so we may see some petty thefts in our future.
Yeah, I think if Piper could see what we could see, Piper would be like, you really don't want to play petty theft. I think Piper would rather just cast the Brazen Borrower, because you can't, if you cast the petty thefts are really not going to do that much for you, and it will ultimately cost you a creature, because Piper has no way to deal with the Dranith Magistrate.
And we'll see that Skyclave Apparition come down to take care of that Maze Mind Tome. So Piper will scry before that goes away. Mystical Dispute to the bottom. Expressive Iteration, the draw here. Gonna play a tap land and just pass the turn back to Doriable, who has 2 Dranith Magistrates still in hand and drew a land for turn and an All-Seed of Life's Bounty. So not a huge clock, but definitely starting to go wide on the battlefield here. We'll see the Brazen Bar, the Petty Theft is going to bounce that Skyclave back to hand. Gonna get a 2/2 here. Looking to block the Selfless Savior. So, and that's what will happen.
Yeah, I do respect this play. I do think since that Skyclave Apparition took out the Maze Mind Tome, Piper was like, okay, well, if I can get out one creature, then fine, I'll do that.
Yes. All right.
It's essentially, it's like a bit of a 1-for-1.
For sure. And unfortunately, those Brazen Burrows cannot be cast. And I don't believe that the card that Piper will exile will not be able to be cast this turn. So putting Prismari in hand, putting the Brazen Borrower into the library, and then Mystical Dispute into that exile zone cannot be cast because of that Dranith Magistrate. Same idea with the Brazen Borrower. So double Magistrate on the battlefield probably means that Brazen Borrower never coming out of the adventure zone.
Ooh, that's this is a punishing draw.
Yeah. So a very timely elite Spellbinder from Doriable, taking a look at Piper's hand, which consists of a land, a Brazen Borrower, and a Galazeth Prismari. No more. That will go to the exile zone, most likely never to be cast, at least in this game. So
Yeah.
Piper left with just the 2/2 token. The 2 Dranith Magistrate's going to get across. We'll have the 2/2 token bounce off of one of them. Dropping down to 15 life. Oh,
yeah,
goodness.
that was definitely a brutal draw, since now that it's out of hand, Piper can't cast it anyway. Like
Yeah.
that's definitely like a very sick interaction there that I hadn't thought of. And ooh, is it gonna matter? It's definitely bound to matter.
Yes. And Piper not able to foretell that Allrun's Epiphany, so it's just got to kind of stay in hand. Yeah, the 1/1s do size up well against that Elite Spellbinder getting across, because that has tripled the clock that Doriable has in play here, at the very least.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we see the Brazen Borrow be thrown out here to just block it. That's reasonable. You're just trying to stall here until like mitigate the damage that you're facing and stall.
Yeah, and it looks like...
yeah, that's what looks like it's going to happen, right?
Yeah, I mean, Piper just 1 card left in hand. Doriable with 3 cards left. All Seed of Life's Bounty is going to sacrifice to keep that Elite Spellbinder alive. We'll take care of the Brazen Borrower. And we'll see Doriable going to cast that Seasoned Hollowblade. And another Brazen Borrower, the draw for turn for Piper here.
It's better than last turn, because now there's no way to give the Elite Spellbinder protection.
Yeah,
so it's better than last turn.
We'll see an attack with the team here. So Seasoned Hollowblade getting in there with both Dranith Magistrates and the Elite Spellbinder. It'll be interesting to see what this 2/2 token gets in front of. Is it worth losing the token and forcing a discard from Doriable? It looks like not, as it jumps in front of one of the Dranith Magistrate, just to take care of soak up 1 damage there.
Yeah, so I believe Piper is still a land off of... Man, these Dranith Magistrates, these main board Dranith Magistrates are brutal. Absolutely brutal.
Yes, especially when they come in trips here. So Piper may have been able to take care of one of them for a turn with like a petty theft, followed up by, being able to cast something from an exiled zone, but not being able to do that definitely makes things a little tougher here. Goldspan Dragon, the draw.
That is a draw. That is a draw. And I think it's very telling that Piper is having to run it out, despite the fact knowing that Doriable has a Skyclave Apparition to absolutely deal with that card.
Yeah.
You just have to get it in where you can, though.
Yeah, and it looks like Goldspan Dragon attacking. Getting in there. So Doriable down to 16 and a pass back of the turn. Giant Killer, the draw. A very timely draw on Doriable's side as well. That treasure would make it enough for Allrun's Epiphany to be cast on Piper's turn. If we make it back to Piper's turn. Which it looks like we should.
Yeah, I don't see lethal here. So I think that is a thing that will happen for sure. It's just a matter of what can Piper make out of that extra turn.
Yes. So Doriable getting in with the Seasoned Hollowblade and the double Dranith Magistrates. That 2/2 going to block one of the Dranith Magistrates again. Staying alive for 1 more turn. We'll see the Giant Killer be cast after that chop down. So Selfless Savior and Giant Killer back on defense here. Lofty Denial of the draw for turn.
Things you don't really want to see.
Yeah. Piper kind of weighing her options here. Seeing what it is she could do. Gonna attack with the 2/2.
Yeah. I mean, why not?
Yep.
Get your damage where you can. It's free damage, so why not?
For sure. Send a little message. It's like, well, either the game's over here or I might have an epiphany,
Right. It ain't over until it's over.
No, that's the truth. That's the truth. So Allrun's Epiphany, the play here. Make a couple of 1/1s. Take an extra turn. Bone Crusher Giant.
Okay, Bone Crusher Giant.
A lot better when you
Alright.
can cast both sides. But
Yeah, that's true. I'm trying to think here. I don't think you can. I believe it is still lethal.
yes, with the Skyclave apparition in Doriable's hand, I don't that Piper also does know about. So
Right.
it's definitely this is a difficult situation. I
Because it's
don't
like if Piper shocks one of them, still has to deal with all the rest of them.
yes.
So might as well just play it.
Yep. So it will.
Lofty Denial does a thing. I know what it does.
Oh yes, Lofty Denial is a daze unless you control a creature with flying, and then it costs 4 to counter. So
Yeah, the problem is there's still a knight there to just do the thing.
yeah. So Lofty Denial going to loftily deny that Skyclave. Giant Killer will tap down something here.
Mhm.
Most likely a Bone Crusher, and we'll see that happen. So a couple of attackers here. Looks like
So we bought ourselves a turn. Fair enough.
yeah,
Get
it
one of
looks,
these Drannith Magistrates off the board.
looks like it. So that's one down. And then discarding the other Drannith Magistrate to keep that Seasoned Hollowblade alive. And a pass back of the
Okay,
turn.
one more turn. What can we do? Ooh, land is not what we want to do.
No, unfortunately, a land for Piper doesn't help here at 1 life. I have a feeling the dog may get it on this one this turn. The
Can you
Selfish Neighbor
imagine
has not
seeing-
attacked yet.
Can you imagine being the opponent and being like, okay, my opponent has seen not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 Drannith Magistrates. That's fine. I'm fine. As we say on TikTok, that was a lot of damage.
Is that what they say?
That is what they said.
Oh.
Yeah, so we're gonna see a big old lethal swing here.
Oh my. So it looks like Doriable will take it down game number 1 here in the VML Season 5 finals. We're going to move to sideboards. Piper, what do we got? Looks like we don't want those lofty denials, mystical disputes, saw it comings. And Shaving and All runs Epiphany as well. Pretty bad against those Drannith Magistrates. Even a card, I think Expressive Iteration is one of the more powerful engines of the Is It Dragon deck, and that Drannith Magistrate just made it look not that great.
I mean, it really did. It shut off a lot of things. It shut off Expressive Iteration. It shut off the adventure creatures, which really mattered. It shut off the counter spells and all runs Epiphany. It was a house.
Yes.
That was a house.
Did some work. It definitely did some work. But now we are here in game number 2. Players of sideboard. I see a Crone War in Piper's opener here. We have another Expressive Iteration, a Maze My Tome, a Brazen Borrower, and the Crone War. All Seed is going to be the starting play from Doriable this game. We'll see Piper fetching up an island off of this Fabled Passage. And coming on back. An island, also the draw for turn here. Gonna start on a Maze Mind Tome.
Yeah, start getting that value while you can.
Yes. So another all seed the draw on Doriable's side. A pair of Radiants in the hand, as well as a Seasoned Hollowblade. And the Seasoned Hollowblade will be the play here. Gonna scry off that Maze Mind Tome. There is a Faceless Haven. That's gonna go to the bottom and gonna pass the turn right back. And Piper will draw a mountain for turn. We'll see snow-covered island here. And nothing else, just a pass of the turn.
Yeah, I mean, looks like Piper just wants to set up either a Brazen Borrower or drawing a card off of the Maze Mind Tome here.
And 3 damage will come across. So Piper dropping down to 16 life. Adorable at 21. The second all seed comes down. But nothing else from Doriable this turn. So Piper will draw a card off that Maze Mind Tome. And it's a pretty good one in Bone Crusher Giant.
Yeah, we definitely want to see some Bone Crusher Giants. You do want to be able to pick off. Now, granted, once you have all seeds on the board, it makes it a little bit trickier because you're definitely shooting an all seed.
Yes.
Hello, we do like interaction. We take those. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it looks like
that was a great expressive iteration, though.
Yeah, it was
Piper definitely wants
good.
interaction. Lacked that last game.
Yes. Some interaction in Stomp on that Bone Crusher Giant. We got Frostbite, stealing some stuff with a Crowan War, doing a lot of good stuff here. But Luminarch Aspirant, the draw here on Adorable's side. So
yeah, this Luminarch Aspirant is going to present a problem. Piper's really going to want to use a spell here. Unfortunately, the All Seeds will protect it, so it's kind of like it's really not a great position.
Yeah,
but it's also one you can't really, you just have to deal with.
Yes, and looking like they want to take care of that Luminarch Aspirant before he would be able to get the counter off. But yes, Doriable definitely wants to save that. All Seed, not as important as your Luminarch Aspirant.
Yeah.
So see the Seasoned Hollowblade growing to a 4-2 here. Both All Seed and Seasoned Hollowblade getting in. So this is an attack for 5. Fable passes the scry off of Maze Mind Tome quickly to the bottom for Piper, who drops down to 11 as Doriable goes up to 22. Land is the draw for turn here. And looks like going to start with an expressive iteration, perhaps? No? It maybe a...
Well, this is a pretty dangerous position for Piper. A lot of pressure is being presented here. This is potentially 7 damage next turn. So has to weigh options pretty carefully. Could a Crowan War something like a Crowan War, the Hollowblade, or has Petty Theft, has some reaction. So kind of, and also at the same time has to play around All Seed. So it's... So once I think it makes sense for Piper to just keep her mana open and let's just see what my opponent is trying to do. My position is not great, but it's also not one where I can't recover if I play it carefully.
Yes, and it looks like we are stopping here in Doriable's upkeep. Doriable drawing a Dranith Magistrate for turn. We'll see what Piper is considering doing here. So there definitely are options. There's stomping, drawing cards off of Maze Mind Tome, Petty Theft. A lot of different options that can happen here. We'll see what she plans on doing. Luminarch Aspirant gonna trigger +1/+1 counter. The question is where? On itself. So trying to grow it to a 2/2.
Yeah, I think Doriable is just trying to play carefully here. Is sure that Piper wouldn't just pass the turn without having some interaction. So is trying to mitigate whatever interaction is going to happen. So spread the love, so to speak.
And that looks like it's going to be exactly what happened. And like you said, an attack for 7 coming across here. Brazen Bar are going to attempt to Petty Theft that Seasoned Hollowblade back to hand, which will happen.
Yeah, I think I like this. It's clear Doriable really does value the Luminarch Aspirant, wants to protect it, wants to keep the All Seed around to continue to protect it and accrue that value. So respect there. And here comes a Dranith Magistrate we saw be an absolute house last game. It's still pretty crucial this game, blocking the Brazen Bar from being cast. It makes the Bone Crusher Giant be a little bit difficult too. So yeah, but again, this isn't an unwinnable position. It's definitely not a great position. And I would say Piper is definitely being asked to answer a lot of questions here.
So we'll see Maze Mind Tome get cashed in for a scry there over a over a draw, which was interesting to me. Bone Crusher Giant. Looks like Piper's considering stomping here. Looks like Stomp will be the play on that Luminarch Aspirant. So All-Seed will be sacrificed to take care of that.
Hey, there's a draw that we like to see.
It's a Dargon.
That's a Dargon?
It's a Dargon. A big...
How does this change things? So we have 6 mana?
I think that it is six mana available to Piper, yes. So don't know if able to Expressive Iteration and Goldspan Dragon, unless Goldspan Dragon comes and attacks first. All right, so let's take a look. Frostbite. Frostbite takes care of that Granite Magistrate, which I think is kind of what Piper was looking for here. So that'll go to hand. Essence Scatter back into the deck, and Brazen Borrower going to go into that Adventure Zone. Well, the Exile Zone, excuse me. That one's not on the Adventure. And that Petty Theft will take care of the Aspirant for now. For now, just back to hand. Land for turn. So even though Goldspan Dragon felt like a really good draw, there was a lot of other good stuff happening for Piper there. That was a pretty nice turn on Piper's side.
Yeah, really setting your aggro opponent is pretty important. It's especially considering the fact that this particular aggro opponent has missed several land drops and is not able to kind of cast that many spells in a turn. So even though Dorival has done a great job of kind of applying pressure, it just is not enough. Unfortunately, the lands not coming into, not drawing lands kind of matters, not being able to play things like Raiden and hold up Giant Killer and just things that all that stuff matters. And so now it's just given Piper the window that she needed to draw into the things that, like with Expressive Iteration and stuff like that, to completely shift the current of the game.
Yes, and it looks like Season Hollowblade is now belongs to Piper. Giant Killer Chop Down going to try to take care of that Goldspan Dragon. It will.
Yeah, that was guaranteed.
It'll leave behind a treasure though. So Season Hollowblade, pretty good defense. Giant Killer will also be played. So both halves of that card we'll see here. Luminarch Aspirant growing up to a 2/2, and then just a pass back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so now without Drannith Magistrate to really disrupt what Piper is doing, Piper can start building her own board, has Brazen Borrower, can interact a little bit easier. Elite Spellbinder being the draw is not as interesting considering Piper has 2 instant speed cards, so it's not that interesting, but it is a good card.
Yes, and Frostbite's also like cheap enough where the Spellbinder tax maybe doesn't matter as much.
You just cast it in response, I think. You don't really care.
Seems fine. Selfless Savior back there on the battlefield. Gonna resolve here. We'll see, because all of Doribal's creatures need to attack here. So,
yes,
a Crowan War says so.
A Crowan War does have lines of text on it that say that.
Yeah,
that's true. Can't deny that.
And it looks like Giant Killer going to tap down that Season Hollowblade. Luminarch Aspirant going to grow itself. So it is now a 3/3. I'm going to get in. Let's see if Piper wants to answer this with Frostbite. Doesn't considered it, maybe not looking like it.
I mean, on one hand, it's sure I could use a card to burn this, but on the other hand, I don't really have to. Like, I have a Crowan War, I can bounce it. I mean, there's just like a lot you can do.
Yeah, so that's what will look like will happen here. Just going to cast a couple of Brazen Borrowers here at the end of turn. And Piper's going to untap, and that 3rd chapter of a Crowan War is going to go off. Frostbite going to take care of that Selfless Savior.
Yeah, it's important to use it now so that when you untap and the 3rd chapter of a Crowan War goes off, none of the creatures can be saved other than, I mean, the Giant Killer won't die, but
Seasoned Hollowblade may present a problem unless Piper taps it in response to the trigger. which she did not. So it's going to go back to the side of Doriable here. Piper at 9 life, Doriable at 19, but a real clock in the air here on Piper's side.
Yeah, but now that is a good thing to point out. You can't tap it because it gives it indestructible, but I think that the thing to point out is Piper has kind of is slowly running out of gas. So it has to be very careful how we use the brazen borrow here, the petty theft, and things like that.
Ooh, both creatures getting in here. So a petty theft, that seasoned hollow blade back to hand. And that will resolve. So Giant Killer going to get across for 1, bringing Piper down to 8. We'll see a pair of Raydans in the hand there. A couple of Giant Killers, Elite Spellbinder, and the Seasoned Hollow Blade that Piper is aware of. But Raydan is going to be the play here, followed by a Giant Killer. And we'll see Brazen Borrower coming down. So we got triple Brazen Borrower here. Oh, and a Faceless Haven, which...
Yeah, Faceless Haven's great because now you can kind of freely swing out and not be super considerate of the crowd. Oh, that's right. Comes in tap, so you do have to be a little bit considerate. But
yes,
again, this is a 1/2, a 1/2, and a 2/3. So it's not lethal that you're looking at. I don't even think Maul of Skyclaves would have made it lethal.
No, I believe.
Oh no, actually, it would have made it. It would have made it lethal. I think +4/+4.
But only Raydan getting in here. Elite Spellbinder going to come down kind of maybe without anything to look at, as Piper is empty-handed, playing off the top of their deck here. This is game number 2. Dory will up a game here in the VML Season 5 Finals. The winner here, besides a portion of the cash prize pool and Channel Fireball Pro subscription, is also going to get an invite to the next premier MTG Arena event run by Wizards of the Coast. So a big thank you to all of our sponsors, NRG Series, Channel Fireball, and of course Wizards of the Coast for making this season possible. We'll see Faceless Haven getting animated here. It does have Vigilance, so
yeah, I don't think. Yeah, this isn't lethal.
No,
man, Doriable only having 4 lands is an absolute beat. It's just an absolute beating.
We'll see Chop Down taking care of that Faceless Haven. So Piper is at 6 here. It's definitely scary. Gonna get in with both creatures, the 3/3. So that does present lethal. Doriable dropping down to 1. Piper at 6. This is a real close one. We'll see Elite Spellbinder coming down here.
Yeah.
Gonna reveal the hand. Piper's got a land. And those Giant Killers, though, being tappers, like being able to double up here, be really good.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, only able to tap 1. Gonna need to block the other.
Correct.
Oh boy. There's some math here.
I mean, there's a lot of ways that Doriable is dead here.
Yes, there are quite a few ways.
There
and
it is.
That would be one of them. And I'm sure Piper is heaving a sigh of relief right now. Top deck Bone Crusher Giant that is how we are going to ride into game 3 here tonight. This is a game 3 for all the marbles. Going to look back at this sideboard real quick. Piper's going to once over, see if there's anything that she would like to change. But Doriable already good, saying, you know what, I'm good. Going to head right back in there. And so is Piper. So no changes sideboard wise.
Yeah, Doriable didn't need to change anything. I mean, I think the fact that Doriable missed so many land drops is what cost it. I don't really think this matchup is that close, actually. Like seeing how this plays out.
Speaking of land drops, oh boy. Well, Piper would not miss any land drops with that hand. 5 lands.
You don't want to.
And
there are better 6s.
There are. So a better one here. Gonna ship the duplicate of Galazeth Prismari and keep a hand of Faceless Haven, Island, Fabled Passage, Maze Mind Tome. and Essence Scatter. So Expressive Iteration, the draw here, as we see Selfless Savior come down on Doriable's side, who has a 2-lander here again. So we'll see if Doriable's deck could manage to draw some lands this turn. Seasoned Hollowblade, always a solid play on turn 2, though.
Yeah, definitely don't want to be in a position like last time where you just are sitting with a handful of spells. I mean, Dory will put up a great fight, don't get me wrong. But you really don't want to just be so light on resources.
Yes. And I like this here from Piper. Piper leaving up Essence Scatter, passing back the turn and essentially just taking 4 here, dropping down to 15. Do you want to Essence Scatter an all seed is the question when there's already a Selfless Savior out on the battlefield.
I do not, but I think when you sense that your opponent is low on lands, you might as well continue to deprive them of further resources.
And it looks like that is exactly what Piper will do as they draw a land for turn. So it's Expressive Iteration to do a little digging and see if Piper can't find some better resources here. Looks like Brazen Borrower is going to go to the hand, Maze Mind Tome back into the deck, and a land into that exile that can be played this turn. Start there, play it on the Lava Glide pathway side, and a pass back of the turn. Luminarch Aspirant, the draw for Doriable. So going to play that here. 3 cards left in hand. Still missing that 3rd land drop, but definitely established on the battlefield already as attacking for 5, bringing Piper down to 10. And we'll see a Goldspan Dragon on the side of Piper here. Faceless Haven, thinking about Faceless Haven as opposed to a pathway, as playing around a Raydan later perhaps, and Maze Mind Tome going to be the play to follow that up. So Petty Theft at the ready. We'll see what's going to happen here. Faceless Haven, the draw on Doriable's side. So that is the 3rd land, opening up both Chop Down and Elite Spellbinder from Doriable's hand. How big do you think that land drop was?
That land drop is pretty important. You definitely want to get to 3, especially potentially looking at, now that Piper is tapping for this Brazen Borrow here, which I do think, this Petty Theft here, I do think this is the play. But now this 3rd land lets Doriable be able to either play the Spellbinder or play a Magistrate, and this card really matters.
Yes, we will see Spellbinder come down here.
Snatch that dragon up.
Yep.
Snatch that baby up.
Taking the bigger dragon, Goldspan, gonna head over to that exile pile. Galazeth Prismari can stay in the hand for now. Scrying, seeing a Brazen Borrower on top. It's an interesting look, and it looks like Piper likes it, gonna keep it, gonna draw, decides not to scry again with that Maze Mind Tome before the draw step as they had set in their stop. And Galazeth Prismari, that will be the play. Making a treasure token. Now, able to tap Maze Mind Tome, that treasure token, without sacking it to be able to cast like the Petty Theft off of Brazen Borrower. But when tapping artifacts for mana, the Galazeth Prismari can only cast instants and sorceries for all of you out there. But Draneth Magistrate here on Doriable's side. So that's one of the scary things. When your opponent's missing land drops, that just means their hand is all gas.
Yeah, that is definitely a thing to consider. Doriable can kind of do this a little bit different ways. Can double spell here. That Petty Theft, though. Could just choose to continue to apply pressure. Because doesn't really have any good good attack, not excellent attacks. I guess Luminarch Aspirant can make Spellbinder bigger.
Sure, we'll see.
Yeah, looks like we'll have a Magistrate here, which is like we saw in game 1, was a very good combo with had very good synergy with Elite Spellbinder.
All right, and that Elite Spellbinder will grow here thanks to Luminarch Aspirant. So it's going to get into the red zone as a 4/2. Piper at 8 life. So definitely a scary life tool. Galazeth Prismari going to jump in front of Elite Spellbinder. We'll see if Selfless Savior has something to say about it. And they do. Sacrificing Selfless Savior. So Piper going to scry. Looks like Brazen Borrower on top again.
Yeah, these Brazen Borrowers are definitely doing some work. While the game's been a little bit about Doriable being able to stall Piper, the Brazen Borrowers are looking like they're really doing the stalling work in this particular game.
Yes, and Elite Spellbinder will go back to hand. So nothing will come across here. Seasoned Hollowblade going to come down for turn. So Doriable tapped out. We'll see a land on the blue side there. We'll see for Piper wanting the option to be able to cast these Brazen Borrowers, perhaps if she's able to take care of Draneth Magistrate. But no attacks.
You were definitely not the aggressor here. Your opponent's at 20. You were at 8.
Yes.
You were chilling out. You're relaxed here.
Galazeth is staying home. This is quite a match. Elite Spellbinder are going to come down here, and in response, Piper will get rid of that last card in hand, which we know is the Brazen Borrower. So look at a petty theft. I'm going to petty theft that Draneth Magistrate back to hand. Kind of pesky. Can be replayed here, but that would take up the rest of Doriable's turn, and Doriable really wouldn't have any good attacks.
Yeah, I'm not sure the exact amount of mana that Piper has. I think it's 5, could be 6. But we'll be able to get at least one Brazen Borrower off before that Draneth Magistrate hits battlefield, if she wants.
Oh, yeah. And it looks like she will decide to draw a card here off of that Maze Mind Tome, and it is a mountain.
Mm-hmm.
Thinking about if she would like to pass here, if we're going to go to blockers. Let's see, she's still debating what to do.
Doesn't
only
know
with 2
about
cards
the
in
Giant Killer, I believe.
Yes. Galazeth Pismari plays very well with Giant Killer, with Chop Down, as it needs to be the 4 or greater, so probably frustrating if did not jump in front of that Seasoned Hollowblade, however. Mm-hmm. So just gonna take 4, drop down to 4. Brazen Borrower gonna come down, another land the draw for turn here. And going to draw again off of that Maze Mind Tome, gaining 4 life, back up to 8. Let's see what the draw is here. Another land. Probably not what she wanted to see. 3 lands in hand. That's painful.
Yeah, it's definitely not great. Her board is pretty decent, has a 3/4 and a 3/1.
Mm-hmm.
So is not in the worst position here. Has pretty good blocks.
Yes, and will have trouble double spelling here with only 5 lands in play. Would not be able to chop down and Elite Spellbinder. So if
there's nothing to chop down.
Oh, if
or do you mean the Faceless Haven?
For the Faceless Haven, if Piper decides to activate that here, but that would take up Doriable's entire turn to take care of that. So we'll see what Doriable decides to do here.
I think it depends on blocks.
Yeah, it looks like she will let the blocks happen. Brazen Borrow in front of that Elite Spellbinder, and Seasoned Hollowblade will be blocked by that Faceless Haven. And
yeah, this is tough because it's like you could save the Hollowblade for 1 turn. You could save it. But
at what cost? Like now, I mean, yeah. Doriable doesn't know that Piper only has 2 lands in hand, and Doriable discarding one of their 2 spells to save their Seasoned Hollowblade. They're thinking, is it worth it? Because like you said, they're saving it for this turn, but then it might just die next turn. So
right. I'm definitely more inclined to, like, if I'm saving the Hollowblade, I would rather get rid of Spellbinder than something that would deal with a Goldspan Dragon, like off the top. But it's a really tough decision. I think that you kind of just have to trust the player who's put in the reps and put in the time.
Yes, and we'll see.
And on what they go with. So
absolutely. An elite spellbinder will come down to reveal 2 lands in hand for Piper, who will draw another land for turn, but this land is another Faceless Haven. So a Luminarch Aspirant, however, on Doriable's side. So we got
what's
double
one Aspirant? 2.
Yes.
2.
Galazeth Pismari able to profitably block that elite spellbinder, but maybe not for too much longer is the issue. We'll see Luminarch Aspirant. We see Draneth Magistrate get pumped up there, and one on elite spellbinder as well.
At some point, you're gonna have to swing with the Magistrate. So
yes, eventually, maybe
give it like pro Faceless Haven or whatever. Ooh, we do not want to see another land. That's not what we want. That's not what the doctor ordered.
No. A snow-covered island. So still 2 lands in hand for Piper as Adorable continues to build the board over there, and a Skyclave Apparition.
What a draw!
Will that do it?
1, 2, 3.
I believe that's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So firing off the Skyclave Apparition, knowing that the Fabled Passage is in hand, there's just one unknown in Piper's hand right now, and that is a snow-covered island. So it looks like Piper's going to fire that off.
You just got to go for it. If you're Doriable, you just have to go for it. Like, heart of the cards, got to believe in it.
Yeah, I that is so true. So it looks like this is going to happen, and
yeah, this
Aspirant
is lethal.
Aspirant pumping up. Aspirant actually only going to pump up the Spellbinder once. So instead of putting both on there and doing instead of doing 1 and 1, but so Faceless Haven gonna jump in here and jump in front and chump block that Draneth Magistrate. So Piper falling down to 1 life. Doriable gonna just hold that Giant Killer. Brazen Borrower the draw for turn. It's can't even double spell with it. Unfortunately, I don't think that Piper can come back from this. 5 lethal creatures on the battlefield.
Yeah, unfortunately, even to Petty Theft 1 at 1 life, there's no way to recover.
Yes, even
from this.
To Petty Theft down the Skyclave Apparition, you get a token with 4, that 4 power. The Giant Killer just kills it. So I do believe, ladies and gentlemen, if we get to Doriable's turn here, and they attack all, that we will have a new VML champion,
an undefeated one,
an impressive. I don't want to call it too early. I don't want to arena early GG Piper, but it looks like Doriable's going to check here to see if the coast is clear with the draw of Elite Spellbinder, which is the smart thing to do. So cat's out of the bag. Piper's got to cast this Brazen Borrower if they were going to do anything with it, and they will Petty Theft the Draneth Magistrate back to hand. Unfortunately, those Brazen Borrowers cannot block Luminarch Aspirant or Skyclave Apparition. So Draneth Magistrate just going to come back down anyway, because why not? We'll see Brazen Borrower and Brazen Borrower both get cast before it hits the battlefield. And then a good game from Piper. Adorable, pumping up just wherever. Luminarch Aspirant, Skyclave Apparition. Gonna get into the red zone. Gonna take down this game, this match, and this season of the VML. So a huge shout out to Doriable for 11-0. The absolute perfect season, taking it down. GG's to Piper. As always, a great game, a great match. Just fantastic showing. Also had an unbelievable season. So big ups to Piper for playing it out. But Adorable is our VML Season 5 champion. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, there was definitely a lot there. That felt. I mean, I imagine Doriable's just feeling amazing right now. Undefeated through the round robin and through top 8. Played very well, understood what she needed to do to win, which is apply pressure and have Durandus Magistrate. I mean, maybe I am talking a little bit, maybe I am being a bit hyperbolic here, but honestly, it feels like it just feels like mono white is just kind of able to, between Elite Spellbinder and Durandus Magistrate, that disruption is so key in that matchup. And the fact that Doriable was playing 4 main board, like RIP Piper. But yeah, I mean, it was great playing on both sides. Piper really played to her outs best as she could. And but yeah, that's just how it goes. There has to be a winner.
No, there does. Yes, Piper played phenomenally. Saw a lot of lines that I know I didn't see, but that's why I'm the play-by-play, and I just kind of say what Piper's doing and don't have to come up with things myself. I was saying lots of words.
You were stringing together words in the English language.
They were actually like sentences sometimes.
Full sentences. So. Grammatically correct, better than me.
I don't know. I wouldn't go that far, but it was phenomenal to see. Doriable do so well all season with changing. And like you said, mono white seemed to turn out to be just a really good meta call. Last week when we watched our top 16 matches, which we both covered together too, we saw a lot of like, is it dragons? We saw Sultimatum, we saw, rogues and Jeskai mutate. And there's been like an absence of, mono red. There was one Gruul deck, a Magda Gruul deck, but like everything else, there's no real like aggro-y, like gonna get you in your face decks. Like a lot of people are doing their big dirtly, salty, here's my ultimatum things, which is great. I love doing that. I'm one of the big dirtlers. That was my Elder Gargaroth impression. So
I see. Yeah.
I think it's more, like kind of stompy, but
yeah, definitely more like dun 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 dun.
But what impressed me is that also Doriable, we saw Doriable bring all sorts of decks all season. Gruul had brought mono white, rogues, Sultai, mono red, brought everything and won with everything. That's the important part. It's like, sometimes you can meta, you can be like, listen, my opponent's playing Sultai. I guess I can bring mono red, but I don't really play mono red. I can figure it out, and then you kind of stumble and, I kept a bad hand. I didn't, but Doriable just kept playing and winning and playing and winning and calling it audible and playing and winning. And it was just so impressive, an impressive showing from our champion. And, so they get to reap the riches. They came first place. Prize pool was $3,500 this season. So 25% of that is going to first place, which is phenomenal. We have a year of Channel Fireball Pro coming her way as well. And an invite to the next Premier Magic Circuit event.
Yes,
I cannot wait to watch. I can't wait till they come back. And I can't wait to send Doriable there and to get to watch that. So looking forward to that. And then obviously, like we talked about earlier tonight, if y'all missed, we have custom tokens made by Inkling Customs for each of our champions from each of our seasons so far. 3 champions. Caroline doubled up, so she got one nice token. But Doriable will have to pick a token. We'll have to be working with that. We'll have a big reveal that later on. Take a look at our tweets. Make sure you follow us at VML MTG, and we'll be showing all of the token designs on there if you get to catch them earlier on. But this has all been so great. This season has been amazing. Make sure, like I said again, follow us VML MTG. We've got some good details coming out soon. I said I can't divulge too much, but we have an historic event, a 2-day historic event coming up soon for all of you people of marginalized genders out there. So make sure you're following us if you want more info on that. Do that right now. Right now. That's your homework. To do that. Follow our producer Phoebe here on Twitch. That's twitch.tv/CodeIndigo, because Phoebe is phenomenal. She is the greatest. She is the glue that keeps the show together. So absolutely phenomenal. A big thanks again to the NRG series for their support, for making the season possible. A big thanks to our admin team behind the scenes. Max Judge ran it all season, and John is great. Roguish Bard, you are fantastic. Our co-chairs, Hayu and Caroline, worked their butts off. the whole production team, Ellie, obviously,
I'm not doing
Becky,
anything.
right?
What are you doing?
Becky and Skybills, and I
just sit
can't
here
really
and
thank
look pretty.
myself. Well, you're really, really good at it.
That's true. That is true. That's very true. Yeah,
Give us
yeah.
all of the players, all 64 players who participated here in season 5. Thank you so much. A big ups to Wizards and Channel Fireball for their prize support and their love on Twitter and here on Twitch and all those great clips that I cannot wait to get off and watch later, actually. And then I got to relive the moments, you know?
Yeah.
And obviously, a huge thanks to all of you out there, all the viewers who are here supporting us, doing what we do. We're trying to be a positive force in the community, showcasing the talents of all of these amazing people of marginalized genders, and we could not do this without you. So thank you all so much for making this season and this league possible.
Yeah, so big thanks. Don't have much to add, but big thanks to everybody. Congratulations to Dorible. Congratulations to the people who made it into the top 8. And when we get this historic event going, I'm sure we'll see these people again, as well as next season. There's always next season.
Next season. Oh, God. Oh, I am ready. Have a good night, everybody.
Good night.